Right. Okay, we're ready to go. Okie dokie, ladies and gentlemen. Call number, how many? 3. Call number 3 at the email CPA Mastery Doodah Thingamajingies. This is probably the only call most people that sign up to this are going to be interested in. All those that are sitting in here live has already gone through about 15 minutes of my ranting, so apologies to them. But for you guys that are watching the recording right here and now, this is a new, fresh, lovely day, and hopefully you're not watching these all back to back and you actually have a life. Because otherwise, what's the hell bloody point of you wanting to do all of this if you're not going to have a life? And that's kind of goes against I don't know, like effective learning principle as well. To spread it out, take a break. For this particular call, the software crap, it's not going to be a long one. We're just going to talk about, introduce the software to you guys. We're going to break it all down, some of the best cases, some of the best practices, some of the rules, some of the don't do this kind of talks around the whole bits of software here and there. And then we're going to apply it to a bit of, I don't know, applying it to this situation, throwing a bit of an affiliate, throwing a bit of email compliance, and kind of take it all from there. So what I suggest moving forward, if you haven't already skipped past this part, is to have at the forefront of your mind the bits of information that we've been speaking about up to this point, especially call number 2, the email introduction. We're going to be referencing and talking about those points in this call, but we probably won't be breaking down those points in what they mean because we've already covered them in call number 2. So keep that in mind. If something doesn't make sense and nobody asks a question on it, just go back to the previous content. Okay, so let's crack on. Quick call that. Yep, we've already got all that kind of stuff. Legal stuff. Yep, that stuff. I have to read this out. Apologies, guys. You acknowledge, ladies and gentlemen, by not leaving or viewing this recording, you agree this content was produced for the purposes of education and entertainment only. And you agree that the use of anything said or explored henceforth is used, applied, or created at your own discretion and own personal loss or legal responsibility, with in no way, shape, or form holding myself, Jordan Carter, my businesses, representatives, or colleagues accountable in any way, and are absolved for all actions taken by yourself, your representative, or anyone you share or discuss this content with henceforth. Okay? Awesome stuff. We've had yet to have a single person object me there. So I didn't get to play the radio soundboard of the Law and Order, like ding, just yet. Yep, that's the kind of crap. We've already gone over the count. This is the actual last call for this week. So again, we're going to have 2 days, the weekend ahead of us, and you're going to have a lot of temptation and responsibility to kind of bring to the surface after you've got this information. So just reiterating the point I made in the Facebook group and earlier, be wise, don't be silly. If you're unsure about something, then don't do it. Ask a question about it. Don't take the piss with it, because nobody else will take the piss with you when it comes to silly talk, silly action, and all that kind of crap. Speaking of silly action, the legal stuff, these guys, they'll have you. They'll take you down. By the way, Sam, sorry for everybody. This Zach Altron guy keeps spamming the thing. So can you confirm for me whether or not I should actually let him in?
Yeah, let him in. He's right. Matt.
Okay, my mistake. Easy mistake to have right there. All right. Anyway, the legal crap. Blah, 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 blah. We're on this call. Thoroughly detailed, comprehensive, and proficiency of the email harvesting programs of choice, the ones we're about to get to, with an array of all the relevant practical strategies used in the context of this mastermind, scope, goals, and use anywhere else if you so choose to desire. But I don't recommend you use it outside the scope of this, because you'll soon come to realize that it's not as amazing and fantastic and revolutionary as you may initially imagine. But that's the objective of this particular call. And next week's going to be a big week. Next week's going to be breaking down a whole lot of bunch of crap that is it's going to put Plato to shame when it comes to interconnecting philosophical debates and how it applies to these marketing principles we commonly use and neglect and kind of fluff over, that people just condense into one word, and that is client avatar. That makes my insides crawl every time I hear that bloody word. And most people don't even know what that kind of crap even means. They just kind of just put it all in a box, slap, this is the client avatar, it's a download sheet, go do it. That's it. But most people, they don't apply it, they don't use it, and they don't understand the fundamentals of any of that kind of crap. And it's a lot simpler than that, which we'll get into next week. And the big boy call, the last and final call that I've kind of got planned, is the one that's kind of intimidating me in the sense of its scope and how much I need to kind of break down and attempt to break down, because this one is the I don't even know how to kind of push it. It's the kind of stuff that would make, I don't know how to like legally even say this. It will upgrade, it will add nitrous, it will pour gasoline over everything that you know up to this point. It will show you how to know exactly how many emails ActiveCampaign is sending on an hourly basis. It will show you exactly who has the highest reputation on a shared server. It will show you the methodologies and reverse engineering of certain tests that your competitors are doing, that you can reverse engineer and see why their email is doing this or why it's inboxing there. You will see from these tests the methodologies that your domains and ESPs are applying in their filtering processes, such as what's a promo email, what's a spam email, what's a primary email, what gets defined as an important email by default. You will see, just by being able to manipulate the search, the filtering parameters of these methodologies, you can pretty much get away with a hell of a lot of crazy crap and prioritize yourself in quite a lot of things. Like, for instance, most people don't realize this, but taking Gmail, for instance, that when you click over to the promo tab, you can very easily have your email come up number one, kind of like a search engine. Yet most people don't even know about that. It's absurd. It's crazy. It's just and it's all there as well once you understand the basic principles of these filters that exist. And as with everything, we're just going to break down the foundation of it all. You're going to have that information kind of scattered in front of you on your desk. And then when you are presented with these problems and with your goals, I want to be able to inbox, I want to be able to send, I want to have a high deliverability, I want to be able to break down my email list into its cohorts, I want to be able to identify how many Gmails I have, how many Yahoos, how many AOLs, how many Hotmails, and figure out and put a dollar sign to each of those email cohorts, and then be able to determine, okay, if 37% of my email list is Yahoo, and around 50 to 60% are Gmail, yet I'm earning 80% of my money in Yahoo, but I'm only inboxing 80% of the time, that 20% drop in potential lost revenue is a small fortune. Statistically, like what, 15? Between 7 and 15 grand you're leaving on the table. You're going to get all of that right in front of you. I'm just going to have to try my hardest to try and break that down to you, because that's when it gets like, if you thought it was complicated or it was scary at any point during this, then I'm sorry, but that's when it gets scary even for me, and that's going to be a struggle to try and explain. So that's probably going to be well over 4 hours, definitely, almost definitely, not even accounting for questions either. So that's the big one. Okay, so no pressure, no nothing, you'll do fine, don't worry about it. Over the coming weeks, kind of broke all of that down. We started with the fundamentals of affiliates. We've done the email systems. We're now going to be talking about the email harvesting and lead generating type things. The Plato philosophy on epistemological anthology, logic, breaking down on how we can create people's actions and deduce and get them to make those actions. And then, of course, the core that's kind of fluffed up and picked up quite big right there. So today's call, scraper crap. And as always, I've got a plan on how to deliver this stuff. Well, an attempt of a plan, a patchwork effect of paper, pens, doodads, alcohol, and a lot of coffee, and these Lemsip things that are running pretty damn low. here's my idea on how to kind of break this stuff down. So first things first, we're going to start talking about the software systems. We're going to be trying to break them down. We're going to be introducing them to you. And just kind of explore them through and through as best as I can. What better way to kind of understand something just by breaking it all down. Once we've broken down what each of the functions and items and buttons do, we're then going to say, okay, John, well, how do you use that stuff? And then we're going to bring into the best practice type things, some of the methodologies, some of the things that I've been using to replicate those demo things. Like you've all seen the really quick scraping of those emails for the promo material that's kind of out there. Well, how did I do that using this software? And it wasn't as simple as just typing in 2 words, I can tell you that. And there was a couple of other like steps and tweaks and setting modifications and understanding of the bigger picture that was able to deduce and find those emails. We're going to break all of those down, and I don't know, it's whatever details you guys can kind of stomach. And do I need to say more about that last part? Right? It wouldn't be a Jordan Carter call, would it, if I don't break down something that you didn't know beforehand? Kind of sneaky stuff. I don't know why I decided to use a muffin for that. At least I think it's a muffin. Kind of looks like an angry alien to me, but whatever. Anyway, so on this next slide, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the introduction to the software. And before I click the next button, I just want to reiterate, don't run off this slide. Don't have Zoom in the side or have it. Listen to these calls and keep it to the side. The software isn't going anywhere. All right. It's not going anywhere. So relax and calm down. So I've bigged it up pretty big. I've fanfared it all up. Now, what's this bloody software? I'm watching this participant number. I'm watching it. It's called, ladies and gentlemen, it's called Atomic Email Hunter. It's by a Russian company, or at least owned by a Russian. The guy is he's an okay guy. He's kind of difficult to talk to for obvious reasons, but he knows his stuff when it comes to this. He's a brilliant software designer, but he is absolutely pants terrible, idiotic when it comes to marketing, because he's selling this for like $60. This software is just that. It's a client side, meaning it downloads to your computer. It leverages the resources of your systems, and it connects to his servers and his spiders and his resources on where he's located. And it goes out there and finds a whole bunch of anything that you so want. Now, it's primarily used for email scraping, email harvesting, email hunting, but with a little bit of a flickering and changing and modifications, you could essentially use this to pull anything. You could use it to pull certain bits of information from certain sites. You could use it to pull, I don't know, like all of the, like if you're into gambling, you could use it to pull all of the rates for a particular game from like every gambling site in the world. If you're into investing, if you're into value investing, you could use it to find companies that meet a certain earnings to loss ratio. You could find it that have a certain market cap. You could pull all this information. You can display it in whatever function and format that you so want. But that's kind of the problem, is that the scope and creative openness that you have with this software is its downside as well. You're kind of left with all of this option and this really kind of ugly user interface. It's not attractive at all. It kind of kills you a little bit inside when you're looking at it. That kind of puts people off. It's kind of like looking at Adobe Premiere for the first time and thinking, my God, I just want the picture to go from the left of the screen to the right of the screen. And you're there for 20 minutes to an hour on YouTube trying to figure this crap out. But don't worry, that's what this call's about. I'm going to be breaking this down for you into the context of this program, and I'm going to try my best to walk you through it. And during the question phase, we'll load it up and we'll talk about it, and we'll knock it all out. So primarily, it's broken down into about 5 core functions of what we're going to be focusing on. It's, as you all know, it's got a keyword search function. You're able to, search for keywords. And now in the marketing world, that's great for relevancy. That's great for finding people that are connected to certain keywords, which is great for matching up with offers. The whole point why you jumped on this program. But what we didn't really break down is the fact that it can also do URL scraping. It can do, it can find emails located on certain URLs rather than the keyword function. And we'll break down each particulars as and where. It's got a whole bunch of advanced filtering options. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff, which we were breaking down into tedious detail in the coming slides. Most importantly, it's got a proxy rotation. Now, if you remember from the previous calls when we were talking about weighted SMTP rotations and proxy rotations based upon amount of files that you've downloaded or the time on each proxy, this can do it with built-in functions. So you don't have to have any additional software or understanding. You can just load up your proxies, load up the function that determines when they rotate or whatever, and do it. And the last and final point is client-based, meaning that you can download it, stick it on your computer or 1,000 computers or whatever, download multiple versions of it, have 15 different computers running, and then just download 15 different things. Because that's the beauty of this, because it's a client-based bit of software. You're only limited by how powerful your computer is, how fast this thing can go. Which is why I love it. It's amazing because you can even have a piece of crap laptop running overnight, and I just pull the stuff up. That's the craziest part. And when you start looking and exploring the possibilities that you can use this with, like you could do, like for instance, you put in a whole bunch of URLs for YouTube channels that are in, say, the camping niche, and then you have it to scrape the comment sections for particular stuff, or to pull the URLs on everybody that's commented on those videos and then compile a list of those, and then just use that for whichever way that you want. But it's great for all kinds of stuff, and you're really limited by your own creativity is what I'm trying to say. But we're not going to stop there, ladies and gentlemen. This bit of software as well that the same guys actually put out is, again, it's brilliant. It's a one-stop shop for all this kind of crap. We're going to be talking heavily about, at some point, email validation, data scrubbing, and ensuring that the data that we've generated is in fact valid and legitimate to a certain degree. 95%, degree seems fair enough, right? We're never going to get it to 100%. But this bit of program as well, email atomic mail verifier. It's not very creative when it comes to these names, but yeah, it's pretty simple stuff. We're going to be breaking this software down as well. It's based upon a very simple free check protocol system. It's going to check the syntax. It's going to check the domain. It's going to check the email validation. It's going to do that very simply. It's going to check the syntax to see if it makes sense, if it's at Gmail, or if it's misspelled to Gmail, or some kind of weird colloquial syntax that doesn't make any sense, that if you sent an email, it's a mistyped email, it would be flagged as a hard bounce, which always accounts to your reputation. Because if you send out a couple of hard bounces, totally fine. But if you send out 10,000 hard bounces within an hour, that's a red flag. You don't want that to happen. It's going to check by domain. So if it's a custom email or on the ESP, it will ping that server to see whether or not the MX records exist. Remember how we spoke about on the previous breakdown of the layout of an email sequence sending from A to B. We all know that the email message goes from your mail transport agent, sending agent, that sends it to the mail submission agent on the recipient server. While if the mail submission agent on this recipient server doesn't exist, how will you know? Well, this will know, because it will, if it doesn't come back with MX records, or it doesn't ping it, then it doesn't work. It's not a real email. So don't send email to this. It will check that. And the same thing with the email validation part. It will check to see whether or not it actually gets there, or it just goes to purgatory or black box. Some of the core advantages of using this, and again, we're going to break all of these down, but some of the things that I could think of at the top of my head right in this: no limits. Absolutely no limits. You can verify 100 billion emails if you so want with just one instance of this. It's 100% client side, like the previous software. So it's not a SaaS. It's not a subscription. It's not a tokenized based software, meaning that it's a 10 cents per 100 email checks. No, it's all yours. It's all free. We will get to the actual using costs of this, because of course nothing is free, because you need to kind of stick some other stuff out and get it all going. But the point is that this is a all in-house system that we can potentially set up, which is kind of where I want to lean all of you guys during the journey of all of these calls. As we've always as well, we're going to be heavily leveraging proxy rotation because it is client side, means it's going to be heavily reliant upon your ISP, meaning your direct connection from your computer to your internet, from your internet to the world. We don't want to be validating 10 million emails going through that singular tunnel. Because as we spoke about on the previous call, ISPs have certain rules that you agreed to. And no ISP in existence exists to be the guy that spams. They don't want that. They don't like it, especially with that new article that's been pushed out about data throttling and fast lanes and all that kind of crap, courtesy of our lovely Americans over there. Yeah, that's a thing as well. So just be careful of all of that. And that's where we move into the last part, the ISP and email service provider. We are able to connect and add as many ISPs, as many email service providers, as many SMTPs as we so want over whatever kind of configuration we so desire. 10 emails per, 100 emails per minute. Send X amount of emails here, or set up as random. And you have a depository of 1,000 emails you want to check, and you have 5 ESPs that you use solely for testing purposes. I want my emails to be distributed randomly over all of them. There's lots of kind of really funky, cool things that we can do here. And then essentially, once you've set all of that up, you hit run. You'll then check it. Is it legit? Is it not legit? Simple as. It'll compile it all to the side pretty easy. No problem. That'll run again as fast as your computer can run, and how much bandwidth you've connected to it and how fast your proxies are and things like that. But it doesn't take long at all. Depending on how many emails you want to check, it's not that big of a deal. Most people here as well, they're not going to be starting to validate like 10 million emails at a time. So let's just be real about all of that. Speaking of verification processes as well, this is a third-party service. It will verify emails for you if you don't want to go through all of this kind of crap. You can either do both. I use both. It's totally fine. It just depends upon your goals and your systems and your speed and how much you want to go down. This is cumbersome to set up and kind of expensive when you've got it to a certain size. Sometimes it's easier just to give these guys like for $400, they'll test and verify 100,000 emails. Now that may sound like a lot of money, but when you've got a keyword, have a heavily relevant keyword search based upon relevant up-to-date blogs on your niche, and you've pulled 100,000 emails, it's $400 to test all of those. And let's say that anywhere between 30,000 and 70,000, for 70,000 would be fucking insane, like legitimate, but you've increased the legitimacy of those emails existing because of the search parameters before. Like you've pulled relevant recent blogs, you've only pulled comments of, I don't know, the last 24 hours, and so on and so forth. So you can guarantee that it's a good threshold of valid emails from all of that. And it doesn't cost that much. Like the pricing scales right there. So you do get heavily discounts depending on how much you're going down, but they're the guys really, they're the kind of stuff. So a couple of key points about that. Like I said, they're pretty cheap, drag and drop interfaces. Here's my list with my niche name, drag it in, press go. 98% accurate across AOL, Yahoo, Hotmail, and Gmail. I've highlighted Yahoo because Yahoo is what's a strong bullshit word to kind of describe Yahoo. They are dicks. They are massive dicks when it comes to their email filtering protocols and deliverability variables. They can be, if you thought dealing with Facebook and their auto approving ads and disapproving ads and their scaling practices, you don't know nothing when it comes to Yahoo and their kind of crap. Yahoo so far over the last, I don't know how, because Gmail have come along pretty quickly. They're catching up very fast, but Yahoo have spent so much money when it comes to this email crap. It's testament because just how ruthless they are when it comes to their email protection. And I say protection as in, say, spam compliance. their tolerance to certain things in relation to the other domains, they are fucking bad. But these guys, they're pretty good. They're pretty damn good at being able to validate this kind of crap. So Yahoo's pretty good. They also do the auto typo correction. I'd be careful playing around with that, because sometimes, yes, that guy's name really is Loves to Spooch 69. It wasn't a typo. He really is that messed up. So use that with a rule of thumb. It's pretty good at, say, mispronouncing of Gmail. If you put like, Jordan with an end of a G with the @ symbol and then mail, it'll pick those out. But you got to be careful with that, because what if my middle name is, starts with a G, or my last name starts with a G, JordanG@mail.com. There are domains out. So it is kind of bullshit. Sometimes you just never know. There are systems in place that you can do further validation checks, but from the pie of emails that you have, those types they're not even 1% of the 1%. And you're going to ask yourself, is that worth the opportunity cost of developing systems of determining those emails will land correctly and they are legitimate? And the last and final point, FTP access and API integrations, pretty damn good. They are, just to kind of explain what FTP even is, it's file transfer protocol. It's basically an interface between clients or servers. So you could use it to upload and download files from a server, to upload and download files from a website, or in this case, upload and download emails from a network that's connected all these systems together. Now, in the Core 5, we'll be looking at network maps where we have multiple instances of, those layouts. We add all that crazy stuff where VPN connected to a tunnel, connected to an MNU, and connected to these weighted box type things. Well, imagine being able to just use one laptop and being able to connect to all of these instances via their own bubbles. So that whole slide that you saw, imagine 500 of those independently. Now you're starting to think. That's how we can set all this other stuff up. Now with API as well, that's whether or not if you want to add or create your own systems that can communicate and talk to Xverify. So maybe you could automate this whole process. You do one email scrape of a niche, or you do 3 or 4 waves of a scrape. You collect, say, different keywords that are all within your market, and you collate all of those together to do one verify test. And then after the verification test, from here, you then want to double down and go to Xverify, right? So you've done 2 layers of two like scrubs of data validation, and then it pulls back into your via your FTP into a folder neatly on your server that says scrubbed, confirmed. And now some pleb, or it can even be pulled with even more automation from that folder into your mail sender, your mail transfer agent, as we discussed way back. Now, this mail transfer agent is just that. Mail user agent, or however you want to kind of pronounce it. This is what we were talking about when there's when you've got your email service providers, that graphical user interface type thing, or you can have one that's client based. Well, this is one that is client based. This is one that you can use it. I recommend that you use it. It's all in-house. Again, Atomic guy. He's pretty good at this kind of crap. But this is another system that you could in fact use from all of this. All right, I'm got as distracted by the blinky question thing. Some guy that's trying to connect as well. Should I let him in? It's just called RT. Anyway, you do that. I'll carry on talking. So
I can't. You've not made me the thing.
No, so tell me and I'll do it.
I don't know. RT. Just let him in and then I'll interrogate him and kick him. Well, I'll tell you to kick him out after.
Sure. Right. Whatever. Well, anyway, guys. So the last component of the jigsaw, of course, I've lost my train of thought. And that's why I kind of be careful about these questions and things like this. But the last component of the whole equation, your mail transfer agent, the device at the beginning of the the flow, the thing that you're going to be using, the thing that you're going to be modifying your emails on, the things you're going to be writing your emails on, the thing that connects from your client to the SMTP of choice or your ESP of choice. This is something that you'll have on your machine, on your client. Okay, so if you, again, remember back and think back to that graphical schematic, that layout, I had a VPN connecting to this. Yep. So this is where I would compose the emails. This is where I would write the emails. This is where I would decide to ever write a HTML email or a plain text email. Now, this software has a couple of other little advantages when it comes to these mail transfer agents. Okay. The fact that it's client-based as well is a big bonus because we can have as many instances running as we so desire and want. But a couple of primary amazing bloody advantages is its simplicity of being able to add SMTPs and proxies. Not only is it easy to add to this system, it's like I've got a really interesting, like a really simple interface. Would you like to use this SMTP? Would you like to use something else with proxies? You can just click it. You don't have to make any additional code or have to understand this kind of crap that you need 3 PhDs to. Because as you will find out, that you're only limited by the amount of emails that you can send by your SMTP, your email service provider, whatever machine or engine you use to send emails, if you're with me. Now, the beauty of this is that you can rotate it as well. So do you remember when I was speaking about how you could have an SMTP? We'll talk about these SMTPs, I think, in this call. But an example, let's say we find one where it's 10,000 emails per month for free per account, right? Which is great, 10,000 emails. So we could very easily create 10 accounts, right? That's 10,000 each. You with me? There's 100K right there, no problem. Because we can rotate. So we could work it out to say, if we've got a cap now of 100,000 email sends per month, we could weigh it. So we only sends, I don't know, 500 emails a day, like, or whatever. And we can just rotate it between all these SMTPs. No problem. Easy peasy. We can do the exact same thing with ESPs. So this is the same as having email service providers. That's the same as having Gmail accounts. You could have 50 Gmail accounts and set it to the fundamental requirements of that email service provider's terms. 200 emails an hour, 200 emails a day, 200 emails a week, whatever. You could have it set up in such a way, and then you can apply your own filters and settings to that. You could set it so that only send 50 emails per email and then rotate to the next, or set it as random, or have any other number of filtering parameters to tweak and send these other things around. Okay. It's easy peasy stuff. What else on this? So that's one example of a mail transfer agent that you could have access to, like have within your possession. There are loads out there. There are the pros and cons of loads of them. But again, the whole benefit of these particular programs is that they're dirt cheap. Like I said, they're produced by some guy in Russia. So $60 to him is like, what? I don't know, like $200 to you. So to him, he's making bank. He's not complaining. He's super happy. The lifetime accounts as well. No subscriptions, no nothing. It's insane. Like like look at it from this perspective. Like it's just a tool that's, depending upon the skill of the craftsman, can determine the real value of these tools. And now this guy could very easily apply this knowledge of affiliate offers, and I'm not going to say spam sending or mass sending, but being able to apply this knowledge so much. But no, he decided, I'm just going to give people the fishing rods and leave it at that. But this is a very, very nifty, quick little collection of resources that all used together with the appropriate methodology can equip somebody with a, I don't know, I don't even want to say an advantage, because that would be an understatement. This is like it's an insane, absurd system. Like this is your whole email department. Anything you want to do, right there, done and dusted. So, you're looking at I think it's anywhere between 60 and 80 bucks. I know I only paid about $60 for them. That it wasn't really that expensive at all. So 60, 120, boom, 200, 230 bucks, and you've got the whole system right there. Like easy peasy. I may have an affiliate link somewhere that gives you guys a bit of a discount, but my Russian's a little rusty right now, so I may have to kind of like, I don't know, hire somebody to talk to him to try and get him a better deal. But whether or not you guys want to hold out and try and get like a $30 discount, it's totally up to you. But again, this is just one suggestion. The only thing that you realistically need moving through with this, if you want to use these systems, is the email hunter. That's kind of goes without saying. But if you're going to use the email hunter, you're going to need to ensure that the emails that you pull are in fact legitimate to an acceptable standing. So therefore, you're going to need to develop and find or create either, some kind of system that can verify those emails, either using the software in accordance with more SMTPs or ESPs, which we will get to, or you could use the X-Verify third party right there. Simple as. Now with the mail transfer interface, your client base, this is where I'm going to be writing the emails and uploading and downloading lists and all that kind of crap. That's totally up to you. But if you so want, the Atomic Mail Sender's been totally fine. It's easy peasy. Anybody can get their head around that. It's a super simple interface. We'll get to a couple more screenshots when we're starting to break it all down, but you can break it all down. You can talk about it. You can knock it all out. It looks ugly as hell. Looks like it comes from about 2005, but it does the job. It's been totally fine. It's easy peasy. And that's all that I really care about. I don't really care about the bells and whistles and all that extra crap. Okay, so extra steps now. So those are the basics. So now let's start talking about the extra steps around additional systems, adding fuel to all of this kind of crap. So I talked about security for quite a lot. I've been talking about VPNs. I've been talking about proxies. I've been talking about extra type of things. Now, this is not fundamentally needed. But just how I was talking about, I highly, highly recommend you create a business entity to make a distinction between your assets and the business's assets. This is along the same ratio here. I highly recommend you invest or think about jumping into some kind of VPN or protect your ISP with a router of some kind. And it's not that expensive. The router's pretty expensive, but that's the one that I've been recommending for most people that are going through all of this stuff. It's $100, yes, but that connects from your computer to your internet, from your internet to the rest of the world. So your modem, where your internet comes out of your wall. It's for one more layer of security. So between your ISP and your VPN, if you so want to. If you feel fine, if you feel totally cool about it all, don't worry about it. But I guess it's just to those that so want it. As for your VPNs, Perfect Piracy was recommended to me by a good friend who knows his stuff when it comes to piracy. And when it comes, Sam, remember when I was talking to you about certain organizations who were knocking on a certain individual server? Yeah. He was leveraging and piggybacking off Perfect Privacy within one of his protocols. This guy, I'm not going to say it can do this, but this guy's server was having attempts of access by certain three-letter American-owned institutions, as well as Chinese and Russian-owned institutions, and fuck all was happening. They couldn't do shit. And that was all backed by like a $7 per month fucking VPN. So go figure, right? Now, I'm not saying that that's strong enough to protect you and to ensure. I'm just saying that if I had to choose, I'd like the one that can, fend off some place that was in, I don't know, some place called Langley. Like I don't know who the hell would be interested in computers and accessing computers in Langley. But if they can't do it, then I'm pretty sure we're good. We're pretty good from that. And ExpressVPN is, I think it's a little bit more expensive than Perfect Privacy, but it's got ease of use, ease of accessibility and connecting things. Say, for instance, you could use ExpressVPN with the router, no problem, no integration issues. It's just Perfect Privacy A VPN is only as strong as the servers on it, right? Perfect Privacy so far has had the best server recommendations. I can get you the whole recommendation list like this guy sent me if you so want, but those are the primary two that are right there. Yeah, again, just an extra layer of security if you so want to. Speaking of security, again, I mentioned those tunneling bits of software, remote virtual machines. This is a screenshot of an instance of 4 virtual machines happening simultaneously. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And remember when I was speaking about having, say 4 laptops in 4 random locations around your state or around your country, they're just turned on and they're connected to the internet. Well, with that bit of free software from Microsoft downloaded on those instances, you can just log on to your laptop at home in your pajamas with your laptop that's connected to the router that you've just purchased over here. With that router that's connected to your Perfect Privacy VPN, you can then log in to one of these 4 instances, or as many as you possibly want. Inside of that instance, it's just like you're controlling your computer, but in another computer. When you're in that other computer, all you do then is log into your another Perfect Privacy instance that's totally disconnected and unique to that instance. And there you go. There's like, you just kind of like, if there's like a 1 in 1 billion chance of, it's like hacking or guessing a 300-digit password. That's how crazy this is for each one level here. So now imagine timesing that by like 16. That's all that we're doing here. Now you may be asking yourself, Jordan, why is all of that appropriate and necessary? Well, it's necessary for one, peace of mind for me. I noticed one guy was commenting in the group asking about why would I get sued from this? Like, why would anybody want to sue me from this? Like, what are the downsides? Well, look at American culture. It's fucking sue first, ask questions later. You can get sued just by somebody wanting to sue you with no grounds, precedents, or evidence of any wrongdoing happening, but they can still sue you, and you still have to defend yourself as a result of that.
But you can sue people that sue you. That's at least a benefit.
But that all costs money. That's all I'm saying on that. It all costs money. And it adds up. And if you see adding a $100 router, a $7 per month VPN, and using this free instance here, and having like a $50 piece of crap tablet or laptop that's out there as your insurance policy, then it's the same logic as insurance. Like, it's just in case shit happens. That's all that it is. Your house may never burn down, so you've just wasted that, I don't know, $60 per month contents insurance that you've have. You're technically wasting it every month your house doesn't burn down. But don't you feel better having it? That's all I'm saying. And that's where this setup thing comes from. So a little bit more detail around all of that. So I'm just going to be running back and calling upon this slide as and where we move through all of this type of crap as the theoretical setup, essentially exactly what I just kind of broke down there audibly. So I'll probably refer and use this in the question phase when we're talking about all this kind of crap. But yeah, that's the thing that we were talking about. So the mail user agents there, just imagine these atomic mail senders. That's all that they are. It's all that they are. Anybody can use the email hunter. Any pleb can use it. Like, I have it outsourced. Anybody can use that with the methodologies or video tutorials that you've made for them. Click this button, use this list of blog domains that we have, find me these amount of people per hour, and then we can and put it in this file. And that's all you do, pleb. And then some other pleb, takes that, and then they log in to all of this kind of crap, and they use one mail user agent, and they upload your email from your copy that you've written, or you've got from your HTML designer, and you've got this email now, and then they've just sent it out. That's all that this is. It's pretty simple stuff. I just got another sip. Good God. Ugh. Anyway, so let's talk about SMTPs for a little while. ESPs. God, it feels so good not having to actually pronounce the long, awkward, icky, non-nerd word of this now, because you guys all know what it all means. You're all smarty pants now. You all know what an email service provider is. The stuff on the left over there, the graphical user interface type crap. Well, technically Outlook shouldn't really be there, but it can do it at the same time. But it kind of, ignore Outlook for now. That's why it gets complicated. So on there and so forth. But on the right-hand side is what we didn't actually break down at all, really. We just introduced it to you. We just spoke about it. We just said this SMTP thing over here, that's the engine. That's the engine that sends this kind of crap. But we didn't actually break down or talk about the particulars or the specifics of these SMTPs at all, did we? These are SMTPs that do just that. Primarily in the wordage of these SMTPs, they prioritize what's known as transactional emails as the terminology of the types of emails that they're primarily clients use to their services. Transactional emails are the types that you see all the time. You make a purchase from Amazon, you get an order confirmation. That email is defined as a transactional email, right? But it's still an email. Who determines what a transactional email actually is, right? It's the business. Well, why can't we use transactional emails for other purposes? AKA this, which is what we are going to be doing. Sneaky, sneaky. Remember what I said about gain in, learn this, earn it, get out? Like, they could very easily stop this stuff at any time. And there's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of them. We're going to be breaking all of those down. We had a bit of a conversation last night about the Amazon Web Services, Amazon Sender Web. It's like got a different three letter thing on it. It's not really that difficult to get your head around, but there are a couple of ones that I recommend. There are pros and cons of all of them. We will get to them all, but primarily we're probably going to be using the one that isn't there. I think it's called SendPulse, which has 12,000 free emails per month per account. Amazon Web Services, if you use a system that's hosted with them, you can get up to 62,000 emails for free per month, and then it's 10 cents per 1,000 emails sent henceforth. If you don't have a system that's hosted with Amazon, it's 10 cents per 1,000 emails moving forward. Either or scenario, it's absurdly cheap. 10 cents per 1,000 emails is disgustingly nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Do the math yourself. How much would it cost to send 100,000 emails, for instance? Nothing. What is the probability of the ROI on 100,000 emails after they've been data scrubbed? Let's say it costs you like what? $100. Even if it costs you $1,000, that is still absurd ROI for you. And we will get to all of that in the coming calls and why those ROIs are so absurd and how we actually generate all this. But right now we're still talking about the mechanics and the vehicles of all this kind of crap. So those are a whole bunch of SMTPs. I have no doubt we're going to have extensive conversations on all of this crap and the interconnections and how to connect it all up and all of that. But that's why I'm here. That's why we're doing all of this stuff. So those are the core fundamentals of some of the software systems that exist that we're going to be talking about. Yes, that's its most basic layout and introduction of it all. It's not going to stop there. We're still going to be talking about them. Still going to break them down as best as we possibly can. But before we get to the detail of the software systems, let's start talking about how to use the bloody things now moving forward. Let's talk about some of the best practices. So first things first, using the email hunter. Now I have it all in these slideshows like this because it's quite a funky program to kind of have and demonstrate live because I actually have to press go and wait. I don't want to do that. I don't want to like take the piss with your time as much as I am doing here. So I've got pretty much screenshots that I've already highlighted the whole process. So here are some of the core fundamental rules that you need to follow before actually doing anything with the software. This is why I said, guys, hold your horses. We got to do some stuff first. I got to bring some stuff, to your attention. So yeah, first things first, computer strength. Go to settings. Tell the client how powerful your computer is or how much proportionally of your computer's resources you want to devote to this action. And it's kind of like based upon strong, weak, or average, I think. Even with the weak settings, it's pretty damn strong. So that's why I was where that point about having a piece of crap, shitty laptop comment. You just run it, have it go overnight. It's totally fine. It doesn't really cause any kind of problems. But when you're doing really deep, advanced site scrapes, and that's when it becomes quite intensive. And any decent gaming computer nowadays can fucking destroy this. Absolutely destroy it. Like, I'm pretty sure that you can even align it to leverage your GPU as well in most AMD and Intel systems. So you can like pair the two. But you don't even need to do that. Anybody's computer here and now is more than strong enough to knock this out. It's not a problem at all. Okay, it's not a problem. Okay. Proxy settings, again, pretty simple stuff. But I highly recommend that you use a proxy for this part. If you click run right at the get-go, it will use your ISP. It will go directly from your computer to your ISP, and then it will scrape from your ISP. You don't want to do that. Ideally, run it through a VPN, at least for this. If you buy no VPNs at all, but one, use it for this. You don't want to get blacklisted, and you don't want your IP to get banned right at the bloody beginning, because remember, you're using your computer here to scrape, not some software SaaS web interface login type thing. It's your computer connected to your internet. Okay. You could use, like it said there, you could use the custom proxy settings, or you can use their proxy pool. Now, they are probably using a pool of free proxies that are located all over the world. And you know what the word free is synonymous with? Yeah, I don't even need to say it. It's free. It's free for a reason. And remember what I said about a proxy is only as powerful or as strong as the server? Yeah. You know, is that worth $7 to you? Come on, guys. $7. The VPN you use to watch bloody Netflix is good enough for this. Anything. Please don't overthink it. Stick something on it. It's pretty simple. Oh, yes. Also, then you got to start setting the geolocations. Now, this is like, I challenged the guy on this, and I've had a lot of questions from you guys in relation to, well, John, how does it know an email is from the United States or from a certain state? It could be absolutely anything, right? Here's the thing with this. It's kind of like a cheap shot. Like, it doesn't actually know, it guesses. It guesses based upon a set of facts. For instance, if the website is English, for one, it makes a lot of assumptions. So it cuts down a massive chunk of the world right there. If the domain name system, if it's hosted with an English provider, that's a big check. If the Whois records of that domain is located in a certain country, that's a big giveaway. If on the Whois record, that domain company registrar is located in a certain state, that's a big check mark. But that's give and take. Like, I have a lot of data servers in Dallas or Houston, one of the two, and I'm not from there. But, you know, go figure, right? But I've got around that by, especially within the search key term settings, by just adding an additional geo tag to my search queries. For instance, when I was doing that dog club search, just add dog club USA, dog club Dallas. I think way back here as well in the example slides. Where is it? There we go. Winnipeg car dealership. Another geo tag. And it's totally dependent upon the creativity and the lateral thinking of you as the marketer, where those keywords kind of come from. But just a couple of rules to kind of help you out a little bit, a couple of tips on how to knock that stuff out. But again, it's really, really simple stuff. It's not that difficult at all. So let's start breaking down the search types now. Yes, John, this sounds pretty self-explanatory. Anybody idiot can do this, but would you rather me go through it with you or just kind of leave you with it? So, you know, I'd rather just go through it with you and knock it out as best as I possibly can. two primarily search functions, URL or keyword. Let's break down them both. First things first. Either or doesn't really matter right now. We'll get into the advanced search when we break that kind of stuff down. But when you're actually running it, let's say we use a keyword search, for instance. We've put in our relevant niche specific keyword with a geo tag in the search bar. We then click run. Once we've clicked run, a second pop-up will appear. This particular pop-up is if you want to apply additional functions or additional checks or additional loopholes you want the thing to go through. Most of the time, you won't really care. You won't need to do that. But we'll break down a couple in the advanced searches. For this particular search, I pretty much just said, I want to find running clubs in Dallas. Find email addresses on the web by keywords. And you'll just do that. And you click next. That's all it will do. Now, here's the important part. Here's the thing that most people get slipped up on. Another additional pop-up will appear asking you a question. Do you want it from this or do you want it from that? I'll explain the two with you here and now. Number one, get from cache. This Russian guy, like with most Russians, they don't really give a shit that I've come to find. No, the Russians in the call or watching this recording, it is what it is. It's like, come at me, right? This guy's been running this software since 2013, I think. Easily, either 2011 or 2013. In other words, a long bloody time. He's been doing the scraping crap for forever. He's allowed every legitimate license owner of this software to leverage his past or current searches. And that's what he means by get from cache. So if I click one with this Running Clubs Dallas keyword attached, it will first pull all searches that have always ever been run by that keyword from his system. That's it. Easy peasy. So what I recommend is do both. Click one first because that's going to be the fastest because it's pulling from one location and not locations all over the world. And then once you've pulled that search, click two, like repeat the search again and click two, websites only, please, software. And then it will just go out there and find emails associated to this search string. Very much like how you use in Google's search engine. It's just a spider program. This is how it works. It connects, it latches onto your ISP and then jumps on through your internet settings. So you can even change the engine at which it uses by modifying your computer's internet ISP settings. So your homepage, your search engine of preference and all that kind of crap. And if you really want to get advanced, you can do like a rotation on that. Do Bing, do Yahoo, do Google, do all that kind of crap. Run those things through different geo, like VPNs. Because as you all know, there's different results appear depending upon your determined location when you're using search engines as well. Lots of crazy stuff. We'll get into the advanced stuff right there. Speaking of advanced stuff, let's break down some of the more particulars when it comes to advanced settings. This can also be inferred by a particular site or search strategy as well. So keep in mind, I'm probably going to get a billion questions on all this crap, but bear with me when we're knocking this out. So you can search by specific sites. Now, why would you be interested in specific sites? Well, what did I speak about by accumulating and first finding or scraping a list of niche specific locations that you want to first harvest, such as niche specific blogs, niche specific YouTube channels, niche specific Facebook groups or pages that you can join, right? If you're looking for particular emails or information relating to certain particular jobs, you think creatively here. If you want to use search boards and universities, there you go. It's pretty simple. It's just tell it to only go through these websites. Chat forms, niche specific forms. You want to talk to BMW E46 owners and get their emails because you're selling a BMW or car specific offer, or you got an offer going like that. Find niches and forms specific to that. It's all going to be there. All the information you're going to possibly need. Stores as well. Amazon, niche specific Shopify stores, the reviews on those. People talk about emails and crap all the time and all this stuff. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, Jordan, probably not a lot of people actually write their email, or a lot of people or a lot of systems don't allow email. You're absolutely right. But we offset that by, for one, the sheer volume of every Shopify store in existence. You with me? And we can also narrow it down by other particular keywords when we start talking about filters and content specific filters that we can pull and manipulate in the search. The thing the software looks for that determines this being an email, we can manipulate and modify all of that crap. It's not that difficult at all, really, when we knock it all out. So there's that. You can do what's known as specific site crawls with keyword settings. So, for instance, you could find all campaign-related blogs and compile a list of domains of campaign-specific blogs, right? And then you could say, I only want to find or scrape or search for bits of information related to something else on those sites. So if you want to get even deeper with your relevancy search, and you could find emails that are related to, or bits of information in its entirety, not just email, around, I don't know, camping stoves, tents, knives, all that kind of crap on bigger websites, particularly like if you go to a directory or or Amazon, for instance, because Amazon's one site, right? So it would just say search Amazon. It's a pretty big site. Well, search Amazon plus camping, right? That's kind of how you're looking in. And also consider what keywords you're going to use. Now, you could use Keyword Planner. That's pretty great because you can type in one word and that'll suggest a whole bunch of other words to you. You can do you can use Ahrefs and SEMrush to try and put in niche specific websites, and it will pull keywords and popular search terms and all that kind of stuff from those sites. You could use Fiverr and Upwork to find plebs that can do all this keyword research for you. It's not difficult. It's just thinking about it. It's not difficult at all. But it can be for some people that are very creatively stumped when it comes to this kind of crap. I know what it's like trying to think of a name, for instance, of something. Completely do your head in. Hunting limitations. Now, this is a big one. It isn't the end-all be-all super machine that we hope that it is. It does, in fact, have limitations. And we can even apply limitations to it, which is a good thing. Such as, number one, we could say, you know what, software, you go out there and you pull anything you possibly want, and then I'll deal with the rest, which can be a good thing in certain circumstances. It's not really great for all of them. There's a couple of reasons why you don't want to like have it to scrape and pull everything, because the main value of this is the relevancy of the information on these sites that are pulled. If we just want emails, then anybody can find a million emails. It's not a problem. It's not difficult at all. We could say search only this site. That's it. Limits the search to the targeted URL and its subdomains. Essentially all the websites on the domain. So it could be www.blog.com. It could be content.blog.com, all the CNAME directories. It could be it could be blog.co.uk, blog.com. It could be all of the domains. You with me? That's a little bit more complicated to kind of break down, but it can search limited by all that. It can go one step beyond as well. So it can limit the search just the targeted URL and subdirectories only, meaning the only directories and the pages on the site. So you go to campingblog.com and you'll only search the pages on that website, that domain, such as contact, about, jobs, that kind of crap. It won't start jumping from other sites. If you're with me. Now that's kind of difficult to try and explain, but when you're doing it, it shows you the data, and it's pretty easy to get your head around. Hunting depth. Again, that's what I was just referring to. So you can determine how deep the scraper goes per whatever, and you can assign it by a number. So if you say hunting depth of 1, it will go to that website and it won't go any further on that website. So the first point of call on that website, that's it. it'll then jump to the next set of search instructions, like for a next website or scrape something else. If you set it to, so that could just be like the homepage, camping.com. If you set it to 2, then the scraper will go 2 layers deep. So it will go to camping.com and it will search for every other web page that the homepage is connected to. So it could be contact, it could be about, it could be blog. With me? If you set it to 3 and vice versa, it'll connect to every page 3 layers deep from that. So it will connect to every page that contact us is connected to. It'll go to every page that the blog domain is connected to, so on and so forth, to a maximum depth level of 7 or 10. But I highly recommend that you don't go anywhere near the number 7, because that's when it goes super deep. Imagine going 7 layers deep on a website and then telling your software to pull every link that's connected to every page 7 layers deep, and so on to every link that it pulls. It'll be like an impossible, never-ending web that you'll never finish. And that will, depending upon your computer, that'll take some time. Putting it lightly. What else am I talking about? URL filtering, exactly the same thing. So you could say, go to these pages and then only go to camping.com. So you've got your list of your domains that you want to scrape, and then you've got an additional filter on to say, only go to these domains and camping.com/contact. You with me? So you can filter, and in both ways, positively, negatively. You could say either go to all of these, or you can say only go to this. It's kind of like a Boolean type thing. There are pros and cons of both, because sometimes you don't always know the syntax name of what most webmasters determine and say for their web page. Okay, so it's kind of all over the place right there. We'll get to some examples at some point. Page content filtering, exactly the same thing, but this time it won't basically determine filtering based upon the depth of a site or the terms you've determined for filtering. It will filter based upon content that it determines is on the page. So you could say, go to camping.com and only pull or scrape or scan pages that have camping stove in the body, in a text, in the body of the website or the header of a website. So you can help to determine and help the scraper to make more relevant and up-to-date scrapes. For instance, you could also do it for blogs with dates on, for up-to-date times and things like that. Or you could say only scrape camping.com/blogs comments page 1 through 5. Don't go beyond that, if you're with me. So there's lots of things like that. And that can help, for instance, when you're on big directories. So if you're looking for like medical professionals, and there's an entire scope of medical professionals that are there within the vocation of health, you could say only find me dentists, or you can have a geo tag on that, dentists in Dallas, and you can do all kinds of creative search strings with all of that. And again, this is just more tools for you to play around with this kind of crap. The possibilities are absolutely endless. There's no limit here that you can go down with. Authentication details. Now, this is a pretty funky, crazy stuff. Like, you could basically tell it to open up an instance in Facebook or YouTube and scrape. And this is fantastic for gated content that needs a username and password. You can give it to the scraper and it'll log in for you. And then it'll just do whatever search parameter that you've determined prior. Again, this is great for databases. This is great for locked accounts. This is great for like LinkedIn and all that kind of crap. Things that have a login like paywall or like an authentication window. And you're only limited again by like what you want to do. Like a lot of libraries and things like that, you got to log in. A lot of say these places, Ivy League schools and chat forums, you may need to make an account. You may need to have to make a page or an account on a form or something. It's all there. It's pretty simple stuff when you get your head around it. Easy peasy. So and the last one, of course, search type, in the sense of taking consideration the amount of resources your computer will require and the speed of your bandwidth in determining which search configuration you want to go for and apply. It can sometimes, this isn't even a variable for strong computers and strong internets, but for a lot of people it is. And it's just taking consideration the size of your, let's say, system that's happening here, like how much is going on, like the scope of your keywords and or how refined your keyword searches are, or how refined. There's lots of things that you can, we'll get to all of that later on. There's lots of different strategies and things we can do that can to break all of that down. So don't worry too much about it. Right. So the actual process of scraping, like extracting emails now. So we've talked about the methodologies of scraping. So now how do we actually extract and pull that information from these found websites? Well, here are a couple of ways on how to do it. First things first, you can do search on sites. It's pretty simple. Now that's primarily used if you already know what the website is. This is primarily used for big websites, such as big websites, big blogs, big directories. Like this one right here, zesty.co.uk is a directory for healthcare professionals, chiropractors, dentists, and the like. And I'll need to try and further determine through the filter the information that I want it to find. So here's the website I would like you to go to. Here's the keyword that I want you to associate, like find in the body, find on the page, find in the comment, find whatever, and pull all the emails associated around that. Pretty simple stuff. It's easy peasy. You can do a search on list, which is a little bit more sophisticated. Remember, I was talked about being able to like pull an already compiled list of niche specific blogs or locations or domains that you know are up to date. You've done all that other kind of crap. Well, here's a list I put together really quickly of like health related blogs that are more so aligned within a particular field within health, weight loss, not fitness, weight loss. Because believe it or not, that's a big thing. So I've told it, I've done all the searching for you. You don't need to go through find the websites and all this other kind of crap. I've already done that. Here's the locations I've determined that my audience, my demographic, my highest value audience cohorts and all that kind of crap are there. Go to these pages. Don't worry about the rest. That's pretty much a self-explanatory feature of all of this. It's pretty easy to do. It's got a company email finder like function as well, but I don't really recommend that. It's pretty crap. It's like it's supposedly put a website in there and it will find emails associated with it, but in reality, it's totally crap. It does the bare minimums. It kind of just like looks for emails that are on that page or in the source code, or that the contact form sends the email to it. It's totally crap. I wouldn't worry or think that this is going to be the end all be all when it comes to company emails. If you want company emails or business to business leads, just speak to me and I'll just give you to them. You know, I'll just help you with them. I probably won't give them to you because I've already spent money on like the ads and things to determine these things. But there are better ways. It's ideally this isn't used to finding company emails like scraping. Totally crap. It's got a search mailbox function. So this button over here. Now you may ask yourself, well, why would I want to search my own mailbox? There's a couple of things why you want to do this. A couple of tips that I've highlighted there. You could use it for finding emails that have met certain criteria in your inbox or in your ESP, such as those that have replied to a campaign, such as using that function. So say you get a pleb to do a search at 6 o'clock every day. And this is when you've got some pretty big campaigns going. You run a search and you pull and you segment in your segmenting process, your campaign modulation that we'll get to at some point. We kind of mentioned in the previous calls. they will run the search, and out of the emails that you send, it will then segment all the emails that have replied as one of the many behavioral functions that you can use to, I don't know, filter it for some other valued action you want to do. Like you could find all of those that have replied if your email was very reply to me, hit me up, reply if you want more, very centric to try and determine activity, engagement, all that kind of crap. You could then use this scrape to collect all of those emails, which then could be used to trigger certain other things. Like you could send it to your shared SMTP, your active campaign. It's like, yeah, these guys are legit. They've said they wanted more, so they're totally fine. I'll put them in some of those basic segmentations. Or you could use it to put in a separate file to hit them up with an additional product. Or maybe they've sent you testimonials and then you want to like go through them or whatever. There's a million and one different particular things, but a function on this is only as powerful as you are creative. Let's put it that way. It's all pretty good though. It's pretty self-explanatory stuff, but I get it. You just want to like dig deep into the core, like basic kind of crap. It's also got plugins for these things as well, like Yelp and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Craigslist and all that kind of crap. They're not that great. They're kind of basic. They're not. It's not an up-to-date software. It's not up to date with the terms and conditions on these sites. For instance, this program used to be really good at pulling emails of associated Facebook users, but you can't do that anymore, especially after GDPR and Cambridge Analytica and all that kind of crap. Most emails are not, let's say, overtly easy to find on Facebook due to just, again, the terms and just how the platform operates. But you can find emails pretty good in the sense of pulling certain pages, pulling comments off certain posts, finding certain groups in certain niches, particularly large groups. You guarantee people are dropping their emails on this kind of crap. People that are in these buy and sell groups, buy and sell car groups, people that are talking back and forth about buying a car, selling a car, certain kinds of cars, all useful and in some way to a marketer that's creative to be able to leverage and use that list of emails that people have physically commented. You with me? Such as Craigslist as well. Got to be a little bit more, jump through a couple of more loopholes when it comes to Craigslist because you need a VPN and a phone number for Craigslist. Yelp's modified itself, so it's not really, usernames aren't really open there, so to speak. LinkedIn, you can still find emails on LinkedIn. Not so much now, and Twitter is just a fucking bombshell. It's totally garbage kind of crap. It's just, the data is as good as the strength and accuracy of it, and Twitter is just a complete cesspool of crap. So it's like it gets half a meh. It can be useful depending upon your particular campaign. So I'm not going to rule it out, but I wouldn't rely an entire campaign based around just this. It can be okay, it can be like whatever, but yeah, it's just that. I wouldn't get your hopes up on leveraging it for these systems, which sounds like an end all be all solution for me. I can just find pages that are like particular niches and just connect it to this and click go. Yeah, I bloody wish. Sometimes you can get lucky, like email groups and things like that. You can get lucky with some groups like that in niches. So that's a very basic rundown of some of the best practices you can apply and use. It's not like a lot of it's common sense, but we kind of went through it together, so it's whatever. So those are some of the best practices. Let's start talking about some of the sneaky stuff. Some of the whatever kind of crap. First things first. This is the kind of stuff you could use to kind of, if you're not scraping enough emails due to the your keyword search using the software is too small, or it's the specifications are too large. Sometimes, believe it or not, you may not find 20, 50, 100 emails. But if you understand the engine and the structure that the scraper is using to determine what you want, because I'm a fund belief is like when it comes to software and electronic based stuff, as the human's the one that's always the problem, the variable. The software will do exactly what you tell it to do. It's your responsibility and your you've got to be the one that tells the software to go out and find the information. It's not the software's fault if it comes back with information that turns out isn't aligned with what you actually want. It's found exactly what you've told it to. There are lots of different strategies and things you can do to help boost the amount of emails that you get, such as, like I said, modifying your homepage ISP or your search engine of choice, using changing your location in certain VPNs, changing your keyword, maybe adding a manual list of domains you've scraped yourself, or there's a million and one different things you can do. Here's one of them. You can go into the settings and then you can add additional symbols, because a lot of websites and a lot of templates and a lot of themes that these websites are built on, a lot of website designers, they don't just have Jordan at jordancarter.co.uk in the source code. They replaced certain key sections of the email syntax with certain words. Like at could be the word at, it could be wrapped in a bracket, it could be wrapped in a different, and dot could be spelled dot as in the word dot. It could have two O's in it, DOOT. You could have two dots in it. It's a million different ones. Now, a lot of all of that's already been added to the program. Like, it's a giant list in there. But if you found a particular site that's unique, that uses a custom colloquial that's replacing these terms, add it to the scrapers like list of symbols it needs to use. Super simple at that point. Here's another thing that you can do. You could add JavaScript to the scan. For instance, in the contact form. So if it's using Java, for instance, in the scraping function, you could, because the scraper only reads the source code of every web page that you're on a website, and it finds the information based upon that. But it can't read or understand JavaScript because it's not located directly on the source code of a page. But you can tell it to look for JavaScript if you modify your email harvester thingy-majingy, whatever it's called, Atomic Email Hunter, with this. So you can tell it to find the emails located inside JavaScript. I think it's either a tick box, like use Java as well, or not. I'll have to look into that and probably do it over a Q&A call if you guys want to learn how to do that. But adding this isn't going to be the variable that determines success or failure. All right, don't worry too much about it. But you can add this if you so want. But disclaimer, it will heavily slow your performance because it has to do so many more additional checks and different additional processes that your computer needs to process before it moves to the next task. So be aware of that. Is adding this one function going to be worth a net slowdown for each search? It's totally up to you, and sometimes it can be worth it. Lateral thinking, that's going to be the key word of choice here, is that think around how many different ways that you can articulate your keyword to find what you want. For instance, you've got to think backwards. What do I mean by that? If you type in dog clubs into Google, let's say your niche is dog food, you can't just type in dog food in Google because you'll only get dog food suppliers, dog food businesses, types of dog food. You don't want the business, you don't want the product, you want the consumer searching for the product, right? Or would be interested in some way as close as possible to that search term. So you got to you got to reverse engineer the search function. You with me? So that's why I used Dog Club for that BarkBox offer. I didn't want it because the offer was about, I think it was like dog treats and dog food. If I typed in dog food or dog treats, I'm going to see those, not the consumers that would be interested in all of that. So you have to think around your offer and your product or what you're going to be pushing, and think about what kind of bubble, what kind of location, what kind of audience pool that person would be located in. Now that can be very hard for people that are, I don't know, creatively challenged, that are very analytical and very like, oh God, words can't really do it. But if you use Google Keyword Planner, for instance, and there's a lot of planners out there, I think I break them down and I have the last or the next call, like a lot of additional tools. But if you go into your Keyword Planner and type it in, they'll add additional like parameters here, broaden your search, and it will show you different additional things. right? It could be dog breed discussions or, pet clubs. Maybe that's too broad because, pets can be determined as anything because it's a dog product, but you get the idea. You got to think around it. So if you're not getting a lot of returns with your scrape, it's because it's pulling the wrong things. Remember what I said about it's not the software's fault, it's your fault by telling it to pull the wrong thing. It's going to return exactly what you want. It's going to return exactly what you say, sorry. Whether or not that's what you want or not is a different story. It's up to you to determine that. Here's another strategy that you can use to help narrow that down. Like you could begin to compile and build niche specific domain databases. So like I just talked about dog food stuff, you could compile a list of dog food or dog talking or dog niche in general databases to use in conjunction with your email scraping software. There's a database here where like, I don't know, there's a crap load of them. Got this off that Russian guy as well. But what I'm doing as well, this is a giant resource that you can use in conjunction. They just add steroids to the search functionality. It's pretty good. It does the job. There are additional softwares that the Russian guy can offer, but you've got to do it all manually. It kind of takes the piss a little bit. It's kind of difficult. I don't want to like manually scrape the internet and build and organize and do this for myself. It'll take too bloody long, even though it's only like, I don't know, that's $60 for that bit of software. It just pulls Whois records. It's all that it does. But I'm working with a guy in the group right now who has the capabilities of being able to replicate something like this. Now, I have this on my computer, but it's not up to date. It's not new. It's not something that I can easily kind of share and give to you guys. But he's in the process of building and producing something like this, where you can just scroll through different niches and you can click whatever different sub niche of that. And then it will compile like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of websites, all up to date, all consistently updated, that exist right now that you can just pull. So you've clicked shopping, niche, you can just click copy and paste, add to Excel. You can click all these buttons that are up here. And then you can copy and paste that and put it directly into your email hunter in that field where I was speaking about the weight loss least niche domains, and you can just do it. Whether or not he actually does it, it totally depends on if you guys want it or not. It wouldn't be free, it'd be his product. So I could probably get you a good deal on it, like $60, $90 or whatever, like a license for it, and you'll just update it all. It just depends whether or not it's worth his time. And that determines of how many people that want it. But it is there if it exists, and you can make your own if you so want. This is just whatever. But building a niche specific domain database is going to be a tool that you are going to need if you're going to be in this game for any period of time. Like you're going to have more than one offer, or just want additional help on making current offers even better. This is a pretty good resource. Niche specific directories. A couple of resources there that kind of break down types of blogs that I spoke about. So that's pretty good. So take a screenshot of that or whatever. These are just a couple of resources. They're neither here nor there. Like you can do your own keyword research and find blogs, but these are just more whatever, it's adding more sprinkles to the ice cream. Your keyword tools, like I said, talking about Google Keyword Planner to help fluff out and give lateral thinking around keyword creation. These, competitive resources that go from free to very cheap to very expensive. Again, totally up to you. You could use all kinds of resources. Facebook, Google, just pen and paper, talking to a dog owner, talking to a dog. It's like what? Like whatever. You can you're only just totally bound by your own creativity. Like I said, it's primarily what you put in the software that counts. And then what you use to support the software is what counts. That's all that you really need to kind of worry about. That's pretty much it for that. So we'll just have a drink, and then we're going to go back through all these slides and then spend probably the next bloody hour talking about all this other kind of crap that you will have questions around. But see what I can do. So that makes sense. You guys get that? Is it did it intimidate you? Is it like totally crap? Like who knows? Maybe not. Wasn't that big of a call really in comparison to the others or the ones that are coming up, but it's a necessary call. Like I said in the Facebook group, this software is going to be a speck in comparison to the content around it. But just one more thing that you can use in conjunction with all this other kind of crap that should help you. Did everyone speak at once? I'm just kind of like,
I have a question.
Sure, go.
You said you could limit this scraping to, I guess, one page or specific elements of a site. What if on that site there is, say, 2 or 3 or maybe even more pages? So one example would be specific businesses that fit a description. The information is there, but it's behind, maybe 2 or 3 pages. Does that prohibit it somehow, or can that be taken into account?
Not at all, really. Like you'll just find it. It'll find the elements that you're looking for to determine this is the page that my master wants me to find, and then it will go, depending upon your search depth in that you've determined in your settings, it will go X amount of pages deep connected to that. So let's say that you go to this website, hit the homepage of it, you want it to search for this term, and you've set the search depth to 5. That should be all that you essentially need, really, unless it goes deeper than that. But between 3 and 5 as a search depth should be totally fine to find practically anything on 95% of all websites in existence. It's kind of crazy like that. Like most websites aren't that big. It kind of goes from microsites to, I don't know, microsites being 5 pages or less, like just predominantly small business websites. And it probably then goes to what I would class as, normal websites. It's like between 50 and 100 pages. And that's just like an okay blog and a couple of video pages and a couple of maybe unique pages, maybe some funnels are connected to it, but around 50 pages. And then you have the monster sites, which are 100 pages plus, which is, all your social medias, YouTube, technically you could call Google that, university pages, directories, that kind of crap, which just beasts, just ugly, horrible beasts. But for this, depending on what the unique requirements that you're looking for, it should do the job.
Great.
Come on, Yosef. What's your question? I saw you unmuted yourself.
I was waiting for him to finish. So I guess my question is, I really don't know shit about proxies or VPNs and all that stuff. So I just kind of like, is there a difference between those words, proxy, VPN, or whatever? Like when you were saying in the settings, like rotate proxies, is that something different over that?
I guess it depends on how detailed you want to go here. It's like a virtual private network is kind of, think of it as like a service, like I don't know, like Netflix. You pay a sub to use their service, and a proxy, it's kind of an interchangeable definition. It can kind of mean the same thing. Like you can buy a subscription to access a proxy, but also a proxy would still be an appropriate definition for a physical router right here. So you've got your laptop connected to a router, connected to your modem that's connected to I keep getting modem and routers mixed up, but then that's connected to your ISP. And technically that could be defined as a proxy, because a lot of these things do have certain security parameters on it, but it's connected and does its own bloody thing.
See,
I wouldn't worry too much about it, man. I probably butchered that definition. Like, I am a bit of a fucking idiot, but the proxy stuff and VPNs, it's just I don't know, an interchangeable word that describes the same thing. But for your particular case here, like I said, minimum, get a VPN, $6, if that. You can even get like 30 days free and then like 50% off discounts and all that kind of crap. It's absolutely nothing. It's only becomes a big thing depending on how security conscious you are. And it only gets as complicated as complex that you want it to be. Like that. You don't need that. It could be as simple as that, really. Actually, you don't even need your virtual machine. You don't even need a second VPN. It just goes, you logging into a VPN using your mail sender, or you logging into your email scraper directly on your computer and then using a VPN that's connected to your scraper to do the work. And you can just have one VPN and just swap it between. So you've done the scrape. Great. Now you have the list. Turn the program off. Right? So then you just use the list. Then you move into your data validation phase. Use the VPN again for that. Connect a couple of ESPs to it or an SMTP that's going to do your searching, your data testing for you. Using the same VPN. There you go, all in the same account. Easy peasy.
okay. So would we eventually, I mean, if you're going to scale to a larger size, you would recommend multiple VPNs?
It's up to you. A VPN is only as strong as the VPN that you're using. A proxy is only as strong as the server it's connected to. And again, depending on your definition, it means the exact same thing. But it depends on how big you want to go, which is usually determined by how fast you want to go. Like, how many emails do you want to scrape in a certain time frame? How fast do you want to do it? How accurately do you want to do it? How invisible do you want to be when you're doing that? How many emails do you want to verify? Right? Because the verification process, I should probably speak about that. The verification process takes in consideration the testing process, like how it actually tests an email's existence and how it's legitimate and how it happens. It will physically go through that process that we spoke about. You write an email, using SMTP, it will go to your mail submission agent. Your mail submission agent will then attempt to contact this email address, right? So it actually goes through that process, and then simultaneously it will determine, depending upon like if DNS exists, okay, if website is inactive, then this, but it physically sends a data packet or an attempt to send an email to that location. In order for that to actually happen, it's still sending an email. You with me? So by sending that email, it's still leveraging the fundamentals of what it requires to send an email. So either an SMTP or an ESP. Now, do you want to, this is where I highly recommend when it comes to the VPN type. So that was probably my second, like, if you get a VPN, definitely use it for this, is that you don't want to test 10,000 emails connected to your ISP. Because in theory, those 10,000 emails could be duds. And you don't want to be sending 10,000 emails out to hard bounce entities or getting 10,000 spam complaints on shit that it's whatever. So for your email verification process, just get like a constant creation of, I don't know, 10, 50, 100 ESPs or VPNs that are connecting to SMTPs that you can just burn and churn. Because all of this entity, think of it in like a bubble, over here. So this could just be your data validation department, which again, you don't care if that Gmail account gets banned. You don't care about any of that crap. It's whatever. You can do all that for free, theoretically. You just got to keep feeding the beast with email accounts. And in order to do that, you got to protect your tracks. You got to have VPNs. You got to have, I would have a router if you're doing it in-house, so to speak. But again, if all that's just not worth it to you, just get this. Spend like, I don't know, 40 bucks or $100 or something stupid around like testing 10, 25,000 emails. If that's like, I can't be asked to do all of this, I'd rather spend the 50 bucks and test it myself. But I recommend that you build it out, at least explore it and play with it. Don't
No, I mean, it's not like it's the cost. I'm just trying to figure out like the best practice of using it, I guess. And then like, so even when you VPN, when you send them out as well, you know, is that also when you would use that?
All I heard there was,
Or is it mostly just for the scraping and the verifying? Or it's just like whenever you're doing any of this, be on a VPN, pretty much.
I would be on a VPN, period, regardless. If it was to me, I'm always on a router anyway, via a different site, regardless. It's just my own security consciousness. I just don't like fucking around with stuff. That will only grow as you get more shit people can steal, essentially. So that just goes with anything. But bare minimums, like I said, one VPN, and then just use that one VPN account to do your scraping. Use that one VPN account that connects to your mail user agent when you're doing your vetting. And then when you're up to, to start sending these emails out, you've got at least one VPN that's connected to your mail user agent, all on one account. So bare minimum, get one $7 VPN, and you should be good. It's up to you if you feel safe enough for that. It's like, and how big and how fast you want to go. So it's totally up to you, man.
So when you're doing like the virtual machine instances and whatnot, like I guess you're doing that because you want to run multiple computers for more scraping, or essentially like more, just basically doing what you can do in-house.
Yeah, just
right?
more. Yeah, just more. So imagine. See this is a good example of this one schematic. So one virtual machine instance could be connected to 3 mail user agents on that desktop of that laptop. You with me? And in each one of those, it's connected to one of these systems.
Yes.
This whole thing. That's it. So, but if in reality, if you just want to start basic, there you go. Like I probably will at some point. I'll probably have another video with all you guys, and I'll talk about recipes, like different layouts, different schematics, different potential starting setups, and like beginner setups and their scope, how many emails it can send, the cost of that per month and upfront, and then I could go into more advanced setups that cost upfront, difficulty, like running that, and take it from there. Whether or not you probably all would want that, but I've been trying to limit myself and giving you the actual. Even with this, that I was kind of scared to even talk about this because this gun here is it's pretty scary. The potential that it could put out. Like imagine that's 10,000 per one of these little blobs. That's 40,000 emails, technically per month for free. But if you set it up properly, that could be 10,000 emails. Like you could set it all up so you can have like 24 accounts that send 10,000 emails per hour, 24-hour cycle, and then just rotate to another 24 and so on and so forth. So you're only limited by just how, I don't know, fucking determined you are for world domination, really. But there's nothing stopping you.
Jordan, what does limit you in the application of getting these things set up? Because it doesn't seem like cost is inherently particularly expensive. $500 or something is going to get you. Maybe you need another machine to run a bunch of going from 0 to 100% in a couple of weeks. Is it just the knowledge of linking all this stuff together and dealing with the shit that inevitably goes wrong and learning from it, or is there any other sort of obstacle to getting to the point where you can make this thing churn pretty quickly?
That's a very open question. It's like
Sure.
the knowledge part, of course, is a big
Right.
variable. Like just understanding the functions. That's why it was so difficult for me to like talk about this and try and convey it to you guys. Like it's once you understand the layout and the flow of it all, and the elements in each of it, you can find like, okay, so I know what an SMTP is now, and now I know what it does, and I can now weigh up the pros and cons of all of these and determine which ones I want to go for with respect of my own starting capital and resources, and align to my goals and how much time I'm putting down to get to those goals. It's all up to you. But for when you say what's the biggest roadblock, not counting money, is kind of calling back on the first call. Like I was sending millions and millions and millions of emails. I was sending enough emails to, I don't know, like how many soldiers does America have? 100 million, 150 million man at arms? Like something stupid, right? That's insane. I was sending more email.
What did it cost you? Because from what you've said today, the costs aren't. I mean, it's $100 here and $100 there or whatever, but those should create an ROI where you're generating that revenue back. So they don't seem to be the stumbling block in this. It seems more about stitching these various systems together. So when you said, "Hey, we'll have another one where I'll go through some base level," like here's the for dummies version. Okay, install this on your computer, get your VPN up, hook it to this. Wash these emails, put it in, do some testing, write some copy. So that kind of thing I think would be, well, for me, I can tell you would be really helpful, because otherwise I'm likely going to go and find an email geek and outsource this part of the equation. But I guess the final question was, you said that you were sending millions of emails, what, per day, per week?
I was sending something like 200,000 emails an hour at one point.
Holy shit,
I'm talking 300 million a week.
Okay, so what do you think it cost you approximately in hardware, software, cleaning costs, washing, to send 300,000 emails a day or whatever it was?
I need Sam. Do you want to like help me out here, legalese wise, of talking about something that, like, Simon? There is a cost. There is a cost, of course, to all of it, sure, to send everything out. I know what you're asking, and I know what you're talking about. And at some point, having a beer with you, it's a simple answer. But to talk about it in such a way now, for you to tell me, Jordan, what is the exact quantitative input that you put on the table? Like, you give me a number, Jordan. If it was 15,000 a day, if it was 15,000 a month, if it was 15,000 a year, pound, to get this machine that can generate a 500, $500,000 per week revenue stream. That's a business proposition that makes absolutely, you'd be an idiot to not like turn that down. But remember what I said in the first call. It wasn't the money that stopped me. It wasn't a physical, technical ceiling that I can't go any more at this point. That wasn't the reason why I got out of that. The reason was, like I said, was the whys were no longer aligned. The fear, outright fear, as you may not have noticed from all of this security crap I keep talking about, and the fact I had everyone writing this stuff to prove that if they get caught sending 100 million emails a day, I'm probably not even 100% protected, because like most of the time it won't fucking care, but I've done what I can to feel okay about it. It's all of those mishmash of those variables that got me out of all of that. But be careful, Simon, because it sounds like the types of questions that you're saying is like, I want to be sending, I don't know, how many people are on the planet, Jordan? How many mobile phones are there? I want to send an email, but just beware of certain things when it comes to this stuff. Remember what I said about get in, make a bit of money, get out, buy a property with it, buy whatever with it, but don't think that. Here's the thing. I wanted to get out before I was told to get out, if that makes sense. Like, I felt I got in, made a stupid amount of money with it all. I've diversified immensely from all of that, done it all again. But if you ask me, could I do it again? Yeah. How long would it take me? I don't know, a week from scratch to set it up.
Are you no longer doing any CPA email marketing yourself?
All I heard then was CPA marketing. Did you say, am I doing CPA?
Are you still doing any CPA?
Are you still doing it?
You CPA, yeah, of course.
Okay, you are. But not via this process, or not email isn't the
let's say
traffic?
the net results of the money I'm making is nowhere near of where it was, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, in relation to all of this type of stuff.
Well,
It
you
is.
mentioned that.
But
you are still involved in it.
Yeah, it's still money. It's like.
So I guess I'm trying to get at what your reason for downscaling. Was it just, okay, listen, I can only drive, one Ferrari at the same time. Do I need this shit? Was it a life balance equation that made you say, you know what, I'm okay with downscaling this and doing just fine on the side. I've got other things going on. Or did someone come and knock on your door and go, oi,
Sam, do you want to, this is one of those questions where it's like, you need to know me. Like, Sam, do you want to like describe why we started to work together to begin with? Like, just to kind of, there's nothing that I can say that will make any sense at this point, because it's just basically, Jordan, why did you do that, you idiot? But it's
no, it's I'm not thinking of it. I've been in situations where
it's hard to like, why would you give that up?
Jordan, I have been in scenarios through life where I have absolutely said I could keep doing this and still be making a shit ton of money, but you know what, the hassle is not worth it for me. I've been there, so I get that completely. It was more just an interest as to why you had got to that stage in a business that looks like on paper it's scalable without a huge degree of human interaction. And I guess that's probably where I'm making an assumption that's erroneous. There is, for you to actually say, you know what, I can't be bothered with this shit. I've got other things to be doing. It can't be as hands off as it looks.
Well, let me come at it from a financial perspective, which is probably what I'm best talking about at this point. It's a kind of risk to reward setup. Like, the higher the risk, the higher the reward associated with that. Like, comparatively speaking, say to other investment types, the risk with this is a lot higher, not least from, the changing legal landscape. Like, you can make $500,000, let's say realistically, within a few months, and then all of a sudden an act is passed, and all of a sudden your previous business model doesn't work.
Right.
So, like, you hit the nail on the top of the head, in the sense of, it's a headache you'd rather not deal with into the long term. It's like, you make a short amount, or you make a decent amount of money to begin with, and then you diversify. You make that $500,000, then you put it into government bonds or something, which is generating like 1% every year. But because you've already got that kind of security, it doesn't matter how much it's making. You've spread it out into different areas. So as of right now, people are probably, in the group, the vast majority, are probably a lot more immune to the high levels of risk associated with this, comparatively speaking to other forms of investment, but require a great deal amount of capital to make that work. But then as that progresses, the more you generate, the more you kind of don't want to lose that money down the line, because you've become accustomed to a lifestyle, you've become accustomed to certain things, and you have more financial responsibilities. It becomes the more prudent thing to do. So therefore, your kind of portfolio balancing, you don't completely give it up, but whereas your capital has probably been allocated to maybe 50%, maybe 60% in this game. It's now gone down to like 10%, if that. And instead, you've gone into more conservative vehicles because, okay, they're not generating as much, but they're less likely to kind of screw you into the long term. So that's probably the best answer to give with respect to this.
From a numbers perspective, Sam, yeah, but you don't tend to realize the fact, like there's a lot of people in this call right now that have known me for a long time when it comes to me as a fucking character. And it's like, at a certain point, dude, it doesn't fucking mean anything. None of this does. It's all bullshit, fake money anyway. It's all crap. Like it's like, call me a nihilist, but it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. None of this crap does. It doesn't mean anything. Like, why would I even bother to make a program to push this methodology and this content to people that honestly is not even technically, mathematically, opportunity cost wise worth anything to me? It's fucking pointless. It doesn't mean anything.
I have to say that did cross my mind.
It's
in the scheme of things, for the tiny amount of money that you're going to get back.
It's fucking nothing. Like what, 30 grand, 35 grand I've made from this? Like fucking nothing in relation to...
that did cross my mind for sure. I mean, I don't know if even I would put this kind of energy and have to deal with the one-on-one calls and the stuff for 20 grand or whatever it is, much less you. So I guess that did cross my mind. But I had actually presumed you were actually going to do a thing where we would sign up through your affiliate link on Max Bounty. You would get us guys all performing really well, and then you would have a residual sort of.
Nah, I don't really care about that. Like what, 5% per year for the first 2 years? It's like, I don't. At a certain point, dude, what's the difference between 30K per month and 300,000 per month? Like, I already live in the top half of 1% postcode in London. I've already got a fucking boat. I've already got all the bullshit. I've already done all the stupid child crap. I've already crashed the Ferrari, got a new one. Doesn't mean anything to me at this certain point. And to be honest, the main ROI from my perspective is spending a week to try and convince Sam to fucking let me do this, to even bother to talk about this kind of crap, to try and help people that have been pissed on, shit down, and just thrown into the gutter of, oh, you've given me my fucking pay plan for whatever the hell thing now. Okay, great. Here's a fucking ClickFunnels membership, whatever the fuck. It's like, okay, good look. You don't even ever meet or speak to the bloody guy. It's very, very cold, very closed circle kind of crap. Whereas all the stuff I've ever put out, it's had ROIs and it's gone into like the butterfly effect of the people that I've met and gone through. Has been fucking phenomenal. It's been insane. Been like, without taking over the whole call and getting into a philosophical debate around why on all of it. It's take yourself for instance, Simon. Like, I absolutely guarantee, Simon, throw me 10K and I'll give you this system. What the fuck will that do for me? Or how about I put 10K in your pocket from this, and then what happens as a result of our relationship moving from that? It's going to be pretty fucking strong, right? Regardless of my taste in anything. That tends to be what happens. And as a matter of fact, from that, who's to know that I'm going to be going into partnerships with people? Who's to know that I can't say, you know what, I'll give you 90% and I'll just take care of the email shit for you. You get 100% of the risk. I'm just going to get 10% per month of what you make as a result of me pioneering the stuff that I've already made and put into your lap. Who's to say I'm not going to be doing that? Who's to say I'm not going to be pushing additional softwares and products that you guys are going to be needing? Why don't you use my SMTP servers, my vetted IPs, my weighted systems, my third-party software that I'm building with these other guys to leverage and use down the line? Yeah, but that's not going to be cheap. That's going to be $1,000 a day. That's going to be $10,000 per month. It's all going to add up. It's all going to get there. So if
I'm good with paying $1,000 a day for something of the ROI. I mean, it doesn't matter what the
exactly
the costs are relevant, as long as the
exactly that's the point. But here's the other thing: is the character, the individual that needs to be broken into and discussed at that point. Like, you're not going to give me $1,000 a day, like from a Facebook ad. Are you insane? Like, let's be realistic. The cycle doesn't work like that. You got to see tangible crap in front of you. And that goes without saying of all of this stuff, all of my other boot camps that I've made. So just fucking try it out, see what I can do. Just devote a couple of days a week to knocking this out, and I'm going to have a month off. It's like, what tickles your fancy at this particular point?
All right, man. I think I get it. I'm looking forward to getting into it. I got to say, from my perspective, this part, the implementation of the various pieces of software, getting the VPNs up, getting the virtual machines up, getting it all talking to each other, having been involved in similar kind of models in the past, I've sort of learned that what looks easy on paper can actually be a fucking giant pull your hair out clusterfuck for quite a long time before you actually get things running smoothly. So I think your idea of doing those kind of like, look, here's a basic level, here's a next step up, here's how you stitch it together would be really worthwhile. I don't know for who else in the group, but it certainly would be beneficial for me to make the most of this.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to do now. It's like explain affiliate marketing to someone that doesn't know what affiliate is and get them to a comprehensive level. Explain what an email is from someone that doesn't know what email is and get them to a comprehensive level. That's what this whole journey and attempt and this creative challenge has been for me. If you can't regurgitate a complex concept or system or technique or methodology into its most finest simplistic form, then you don't understand it. If you can't regurgitate the same thing, the methodology, the system, the technique, the strategy in its most simplistic form that anybody can understand, you don't truly know it. It's just as entertaining and challenging for me as it is for anybody going through all of this. But if you're looking for a system that's cookie cutter and does all the kind of crap, good luck with that. If you figure it out, fucking tell me. I'll jump on that myself. But to be spoon fed this, then that, then take this and go out and then take it around that way. Maybe in the Q&As, maybe long form discussion around having to explain example after example after example. You could stitch together a finite step 1 through 57 and you could just tick the boxes and do it. Yeah, potentially. But am I going to sit down there and go through it all to the scope, the finite detailed scope of what this is? For fucking, that's going to be too... That's going to be not only from legalese, from what Sam tells me is an actual bloody thing, but from the same time, like, what the fucking point's that? Why don't I just pay a guy to just do it? I just give them my methodology and I just do the 90-10 split that way. Like, you're here for an overarching, comprehensive, long form discussion on all of this stuff that can go absolutely anywhere. These last 35 minutes of questions, case in point, not the this and that. I should probably reframed the first call being like, do you guys want the fucking money or do you want to learn how to do it? And just seeing who put their hand up to say, you know what, John, just give me the fucking money. I don't even care about all this stuff. But you know what? I would like the methodology on how to actually do this for myself to make my own money. But I understand everyone's obviously different. This one-to-many conversation stuff is it's kind of like a new thing for me. This is only the second time I've ever done this, really. But yeah. But feedback is always good. Trying my best to give everybody.
I had a question, Jordan.
Okay, Zach, feel free.
Loving the theory and everything so far. Really appreciate that. But is there anywhere that you would recommend that we can go to learn more about, like, the theory behind how VPNs work and things like that, more into the understanding of these pieces that we could research almost like homework?
Predominantly, man, where I've got all of my information from, it's just been talking to people, like literally finding the people that have introduced me to these concepts that I can ask questions. I'm not a big reader. I'm not a big, let's say, academic on that front. I don't really break these things down for my own, I don't know, things. I just kind of talk to people, break it all down. Then I could probably, or then I find a YouTube playlist that breaks down the mathematical concepts of what logic really is from a programmatic breakdown. And then I'm like, fuck, I want to be able to watch American videos. How do I do that? There's a thing called a VPN. Or what's a VPN? Which is a good one? Which is a good, cheap, good one. I want one with good bandwidth because it keeps buffering. And then you'll be able to piece together and break it all down. But for highly targeted specialist knowledge on any topic, Google, man, knock it out. I get what you're saying. Like, okay, this guy's talking about the stuff. Where's he got his stuff from? I can't actually fucking tell you. It's just like a I don't know, digesting a career's worth of.
I'm not sort of trying to ask you where you would get your information from, because obviously you would never divulge that. I'm just trying to avoid the common pitfalls of studying up the wrong shit.
Oh, if I knew the answer to that, man, I don't think any matter of money would get me on these fucking calls. I'd get everything right first bloody time. It's going to be a lot of, I think I actually talk about that in the next call, as a matter of fact, like shit filtering, so to speak. And that just comes from expanding your knowledge horizons and having different like points of data and understanding critical thinking and being able to piece together and constructing logical arguments and having factual points around all of that. But the only thing I can think of is like you could buy a 300-page book on Amazon on a subject and only actually use half a page, if that, or maybe a paragraph or one resource that the book mentions to go to. That's the art form here. That's just the trying to figure it all out. But do I have a book on email I recommend? Do I have a book on systems, VPN or network infrastructures, or I don't know, how HTML, JavaScript, and PHP come together in relation to a scraper? It's just not how I really work. It's just like I'm figuring out something as a clear problem, which is always the bloody case that comes up. And then, okay, it's not doing this. It's not pulling enough emails. It's not. How do I get it to connect to Facebook? How do I get it to connect to Facebook in such a way as it's not going to come back on me? How do I associate, or how do I connect my mail transfer and mail submission agent? Sorry, these fucking 3-letter things and these mail users. Like, again, for myself, I had to research these things back up again. Like, I barely know what most of this crap bloody means. Just putting it together in such a way and to a degree and to a level that made sense for me at the time, and then you got to keep going back over it. Oh shit, didn't work. Crap, what's going wrong? Diagnose it. Trying to see, okay, where's the email stopping? Where's it? What's happening in the email? Okay, it's getting past my systems and it's bouncing off the wall when it hits the mail. The recipient's address. Like, why is that? Is it due to the domains? Is it due to the ISPs? I think you just got to diagnose it. Try your best to work the bloody crap out. How do you do that? That's the big question. How do I go about doing that? I fucking talk to people. I use Google. I use YouTube. I see which Norbad's made a course on. I probably already have the bloody course on it, and I just research it and knock it all out. But other than that, man, I don't know what everybody suggests. Like, it is all theory. It is all bullshit until it works. It is all crap. But
all right, thanks, man.
It's not helpful at all in any way, man. Maybe not an answer that you were probably expecting or anticipating, but I don't really have a go-to resource other than just knocking my head against something, fighting off alcoholism, and then trying to, because that's the thing with me, is like, is probably a very good answer to that, in the sense is I don't like limit my pursuit of the solution to that to a particular time frame or to a monetary amount. Now I have all the time in the world. I have more money than when I know what to do with to solve a problem. So with the freedom of those for most people, say, barriers that determines the strength of a resource or the speed of comprehension of the digestion of bits of information is whatever. This doesn't really matter to me. I can make one phone call and speak to a Facebook rep to solve this problem. I can contact a legal authority to send a letter to the appropriate location in Facebook's, web of infrastructure to unban accounts, or to let them know I'm going to be advertising certain entities that are by definition what I say they are, and not left up to the discretion of what Facebook says they are. Not leaving it to a pleb that says yes or no, that's approved, that's not approved. Oh, too much skin's approved, and that's crap. Oh, too much text is on the image ratio to that's not approved. Well, no, here's 15 lawyers that say, and from your own tools to say it is in fact less than X amount of ratio. So don't ban this shit. Just little things like that kind of all come together, man. But what I can do is any questions that do come up, I'll just apply that same methodology to try and help you answer that question. So I guess you are kind of looking from a more of a, I don't know, overarching framework on a bit of knowledge on a particular subject, which is, kudos. It's always good to expand all that kind of crap, which I can't really help. But the moment you come across a particular problem, I could help you there, if that makes sense. So you're not completely left pissing in the wind when it comes to solving this stuff. And if you just want to research on something, just fucking Google a book on it. Google YouTube. I would start with YouTube, because most of the time all of the book's content and existence has been digested there. Another thing that I've started doing is watching university lectures that have been recorded on particular subjects. Like there's an amazing one on the interconnecting variables between behavior and biology by this amazing professor over at Stanford. I can't remember his name, but he looks like a professor. And he starts connecting all of these variables of actual diets and locations and associations of certain people that are determining your thinking processes, and then applying those to decision making, which is fantastic for a creative marketer. How to copyright, how to talk to people, how to indirectly encourage actions. Now, I didn't start the research in that area with that problem, yet I discovered it through the interest in this guy's talk on the subject. So I'd recommend you use YouTube first. You speed up the videos, or download the playlists and speed them up with VLC. VLC is pretty good. Just increase it to 250%. Go about your day. Make your own audiobooks with it essentially. And you'll be amazed at how much information you can digest on a subject doing it that way. And then from that, make reading references or highlight questions and bubbles of particular fields that you've now discovered that, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's start thinking about the interconnecting variables around, I don't know, how much junk food that you eat that determines your decisions, and how that could be used and applied in a marketing capacity. Let's highlight that. I'm going to research more into that now. I'm going to talk to somebody about it. I'm going to send somebody an email. It's another thing most people neglect. Sending experts emails. How many people here have sent an email to an author of a book, of a vocation, of a topic, fiction or nonfiction? I guarantee probably most people haven't, or even attempted. How many people have attempted to call publishers of book companies asking to, have an interview with authors, or looking to send the author a thank you letter or whatnot, looking for a relay point to send a letter to so they send it to them? With your contact information. There's loads of things, but most people don't take advantage of these particular things because they just assume, oh, they'll never get back to me, or they'll never write to me, or it'll be a cookie cutter. You never know. Like most things in life, they don't do it. But that's, again, I guess I'm a fucking psychopath when it comes to that kind of crap. But I've sent so many things out like that. Tried to call so many people to at least just say thank you. Your thoughts on, the war between biology and decision making has been incredibly controversial, especially in recent years with the PC culture and biology in relation to gender and sex and pronouns. This is great. Thank you for being a voice of reason in this time. By the way, if you have any other recommended reading on this topic, could you please forward it to this email address or give me a call here? They would love to do that. Like, you've complimented them, you've encouraged their work, and then you've got their email when they respond to you. It's just like, so summarize, check out YouTube, download playlists, speed it up, make notes at the same time, at least 20 minutes, 25 minutes per day on a new area. And yeah, buy their books, send them letters, message them on YouTube, you know, all that kind of crap, and then take it from there. But again, it's totally up to you though, man. It's whether or not you want to focus that time on monetary tasks or entertainment tasks, or maybe bits of the both, or whatever. But that's totally beyond the scope and whatever. And I kind of like ranted and taken over the conversation a bit there. But yeah, maybe you got some of that, you know, it's whatever. But maybe the way I answered that could have been enlightening in this fact of, because I've never heard anybody contacting authors or even bothering or looking to use YouTube and download playlists and speeders or what, because I'm a lazy reader. I don't really like to read unless it's like entertaining or whatnot. Or I even had Sambler like calling me a little bitch in the sense of buying audiobooks and books at the same time and listening to the audiobook and reading the fucking book. Like, you try and read fucking Astrophysics for in a Hurry by Neil deGrasse Tyson, Sam, and try and understand some of those concepts. I can't even pronounce most of those bloody words. But hey ho, that's just my way of trying to knock all that kind of crap out. But I wouldn't put a line through long form conversation just yet. I would put that as number one, and then I would put YouTube as 2, or video mediums as 2, blogs, podcasts, audiobooks, videos, and then I would then fall to written material. But I would always use written material as a fallback for, I guess, more of a, I don't want to say comprehensive, but sometimes the written definitions of certain subjects can open up all new windows that you were thinking about, or the author was thinking about, or the podcaster they spoke about but didn't go into too much detail. But again, that just depends upon your own research methodology and what you value and how fast you want to do it, or whatever the hell, and what objective that you want to obtain whilst going through it. So yeah, totally up to you. So again, so you want to learn about SMTPs or VPNs? I'd go to YouTube. There's probably 1 million videos on VPNs in its entirety. They probably all break down the same methodology and definitions. Use Wikipedia, not necessarily the Wikipedia itself, but the references that are on Wikipedia to find those source materials. Expand your horizons there, and then just take it from there.
All right, awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, totally. So whatever. But yeah, man, it's cool. Absolutely nothing to do really with the software, which is surprising. But again, like I said, we could use this call as a piggyback in the Q&A crap that I think people just take using those as like days off, more so than bloody actual content time.
I got a question on software.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Are there any planned Q&A sessions after the 5th call?
Yeah, it's not necessarily Q&As, but what I tend to do is I'll just either unannounced, like spontaneously, I would host like a Facebook Live call.
Okay.
Where it's just whatever the hell. Hey guys, you know, how's the hemorrhoid? Is it all good? Awesome. And just stay on it for like an hour or whatnot. Help you guys through, because this is going to be a long journey. Like I said, there's going to be lots of people going through this. Ideally, I want to get a good, from my own perspective here, guys, I want to get a good pool of success stories. I want to get a good bunch of video material. I want to get a good bunch of whatever the hell. And I'm not going to get that just by patting you guys on the back and saying, there you go, guys, fuck off. Thank you. You know, it doesn't do that much for me. But setting it up like that, I build a relationship. You guys realize, hopefully, I'm fucking as legit as it comes. Or not, whatever the fuck. Maybe you just want the systems or whatever the hell. It's whatever, up to you. But you understand that you've got to make something. You got to realize you got to see numbers in your account. It's not just some bullshit. And then you can say, you know what, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. I'll give him a video. I'll give him a fucking whatever. I'll be one of those guys that are willing to put my Facebook profile on the comment and say, if you don't believe me, message me. I'm a real person. You know, he went out there and he spent 15 hours with me talking about fucking YouTube videos and research and all that kind of crap. But hey, so I can't even remember the fucking question. I'm getting pretty high on these Lockheed sent like throat sweep things now. I think I'm taking that many, but yeah. There's your guru, guys. Can't even remember his train of thought. It's completely gone. Thank you, Sam. You're an awesome support guy there. You're just like putting the bag on my head and rushing me off to the back of the stage. Don't worry, guys. He's just having a seizure. He'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
You're coping pretty well so far.
I can't even remember the guy's question. And now there you go. You're gone. It's off. But he's not saying anything though, so I think I did it.
Yeah, the question was just about.
Oh, after the calls. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I'll be there.
Say yes.
Yes.
You say yes. Why kind of add 15?
I wasn't. I was just this how I bullshit.
Yeah,
I have a habit of.
I know, but yeah, you answer a yes no question with like War and Peace.
About war. You know, like.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. No one cares. No one cares other than what you can do for them.
All right. Good point. All right, Bruno. What is it?
Hey, I got two
Hi.
questions. One is pretty easy. The other one, maybe not so much. First one, can we run these softwares on a Mac or are they on Windows only? And then second one, can you just go like through the concept of the email scraping again for a sec? Like, is it basically, I know this may sound really dumb, but like, say you have a blog and people have, there are comments and stuff. Where is that software actually pulling data from? Do people have to physically write their email addresses on whatever page in order for it to scrape it? Or is it based on cookies? Like, where is it pulling this information from?
All right. First question. I've never used it on a Mac system at all in any way. I've never really used a Mac at all, other than the fact of like saying they look really cool. I've never used them to actually make a single penny. That's kind of my philosophy on things. It's like it's ugly, it's disgusting, it's got wires everywhere, but it's made me a lot of money. Macs, on the other hand, are kind of like big boobed blondes with size 3s. They're pretty nice to look at, but when it comes to work, yeah, there's my philosophy. Anyway, so that's that. If you want to learn if it actually is applicable, just go to the website. It should say, and if it doesn't work on Macs, and you kind of stuck to that, it's like a $50, well, you buy your accent, £100, £60 piece of crap eBay laptop Dell from 10 years ago. Do that should work. Or maybe even it's getting a little bit, no, I won't even talk about that, but yeah, do that. That should be relatively simple. That's your second question. This particular scraper email harvester works pretty simply. It's a client for one on your computer, meaning it leverages your computer's resources, not servers, not another party in any way. It's your computer's resources. It connects to whatever internet connection that you have directly. So if you're with Virgin, if you're with Comcast, if you're with Verizon, whoever that you're with, it will connect to that as your ISP. Just like how you are using your computer right now to browse YouTube, Google. On this call, it's sending data packets, like download and upload packets through the internet via your ISP and bringing it back. That's how it's working. That's how it's doing that. Now, via the same principle, the scraper on your computer is going to be, in this most simplistic form, going through your ISP to websites. What websites? Websites that you determine. How is it determining those websites? Using simple search syntax on the backbone of search engines. Which search engines? Whatever ISP you've set to. Literally go to your Internet Explorer, your Chrome, right click it, go to Internet Properties, and it will show you your network information, like what's your priority, what's your search engine, whatever all that kind of crap is. You can set and determine all of those things within your email harvesting program in the settings. It will do that. Now, once it's determined that, like what it's going to use to search, it will then just do that. It will search it, leveraging your ISP, leveraging your computer, doing it all in the background. All in the background. That's why I was so adamant on using a VPN to protect yourself, not only from your search engines, but from also your ISP, because there are only certain things that a human can do. This isn't a human natural search. So once it's done that, say it's found a website, it's identified it via the search settings you've gotten, your search depth. So you set it, let's say you've set it to, I don't know, 3 or 2, meaning you'll go to the home page and then to 2 other pages after the fact, or 3 other pages that are connected to that, whatever. It's on that page now. Let's keep it simple. It's on that page. It's looking through what's known as the source code. Every page is compiled by source code. You can go to any website in existence, right-click anywhere, like a plain area, and click on View Source. It'll just show you a whole bunch of code. That code is used inside your browser, which basically translates that code into what we know and what we're used to, this pretty graphical user interface that displays this information, leveraging HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the likes. That's how we function and use it. But the scraper goes through the source code, and inside the source code is all the building blocks that makes that page. Were you with me so far? So that's where it's at. So that page that exists, that's visually there, even stuff that isn't visually there, that's hidden by CSS and other programming like parameters, doesn't matter. It's in the source code. The source code is the website. You can't fuck around with that. You can't change that. It's what's on this server that says this computer's accessing me. Send this data packet, which is the source code for that page, and then the browser will translate that into the pretty calls patterns and Facebook and whatever the hell you're particularly on. Now the scraper, when it's on that source code, using the filtering parameters, let's find them real quick for you. What's a good one? I've got one here. There we go, here. In its most basic filtering rule sets, it will look for example, jordan@gmail.com. Websites or emails that are physically written on the page are correct. Its most basic search. It can also find emails that are not inherently visible to the human eye, but is in the source code. Now, why is it invisible? Because it could be used in conjunction with other functions on the web page, such as, I don't know, maybe input your name, email, username to comment on this blog post or whatever the hell, right? It could be, in fact, that if you click on that person's username, it goes to like a profile. It's there. Or maybe their WordPress user accounts are publicly available to see. Who knows? But you can determine this based upon the source code there, and it's going through the source code and following where all those paths may lead. And you'll just keep doing that over and over again in its most basic use on a giant, massive scale. So just to summarize, the software will run using your computer, connected to your internet. I know I sound like I'm a fucking patronizing git right now, but we're using internet very like as a catch-all definition here. It will then go out and do the searches. If you're using keyword search or website search in the searching, you'll find the websites, search listing 1, click on it, it'll go in there, it'll scrape to whatever depth, you'll look on that page and it'll go to the next page, look on that page, go to the next page, look at that page. You'll do that instantly, faster than any human can. You'll find, or it won't find, emails or whatever of information you've determined for it to find, as you've described it. Like I said, the software will do what it's told. If it doesn't return what you want, it's because you didn't tell it right. It was lost in translation. Get better at talking to the software. get better at using the software, get better at understanding how the software works. It will then go through your check. So it will go to this web page, search for whatever depth that you want, for whatever parameters that you want. It will find or it won't find. If it finds, it will return that through the internet and display it in your email hunting client. If not, it will go to the next URL, do the next search string, and so on and so forth. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands, an incalculable amount of times, depending on the strength and the speed of your internet and the filtering parameters that you've set up. In its most basic form there. And you'll keep doing that over and over again.
Oh yeah, no, I get that on a theoretical principle. I think like the part that I find challenging is that I don't see most people using their email address or like writing down their email address on pages in general, because no one wants to be spammed. But then second to that, my other question would be, what's sort of the bare minimum of the number of like emails that you scrape before you send out a campaign? What would you say, like, if it's any less than this, then there's no point?
Now, be careful there for the first part, what you were discussing. Be careful about what we've been trying to talk about this whole time, being critical, leaving biases to one side, assuming that everybody is at the wavelength of your 0, your 10, your 5. Most people, I guarantee, don't act, think, feel, or operate to anywhere how you think, feel, and operate right now. Like you're around London, you're in London. You think and feel culturally around what you've been grown up and around. I guarantee you right now, any American that you know and you felt are a completely different person to you, and different actions, different behaviors, different methodologies, different core beliefs, different spiritual beliefs, different definitions of offense, different definitions of praise. Get any of those wrong, lost in translation, and you'll be up shit creek, or they'll be proposing to you without you even realizing it. Be careful. Don't come into anything with biases. Use the data. Use what it's showing you. Do the search in the parameters that you've set. The websites I looked at, let's say the cultural ecosystem of that website is not familiar with putting emails in a humanly visible form. Again, we're assuming that all emails are physically typed in a comment in the body of a blog, or so on and so forth. Would you bet your life on that? Of course you wouldn't. So just be aware of, I guess, closed, determined statements such as, I would assume most people wouldn't type their email. Yeah, sure. I make a million assumptions every day. Doesn't mean shit though. Anyway, so just be aware of that when you're producing and using the thing in such a way as not necessarily what it was intended for, but creatively using it to work within the cultural confines of the ecosystem, the domain, the blog, the social media platform, the university chat form, the directory, the niche specific form, and so on and so forth. So just be careful of that when it's there, when it's doing its job. Otherwise, you're shooting yourself in the foot, literally, before even doing it. And you're also assuming that this internet thing is a small thing. There are, God, I think if I would say billions of email accounts would be an understatement that exist out there. So I don't know, I guess, that's like a thing. And the second part of your question, I can't remember. It's completely fucking gone. I think it was about
yeah, sorry, thanks. It was just about the what would you say is like a bare minimum number of emails you should collect before you run a campaign?
Again, man, who knows? Statistically, one. statistically, right? It is possible that you find one email, you send one email to them, they open it, they click it, they opt in. What are the determining variables that say that they will open, they will click, they will engage, and all that other kind of stuff? We don't know. How do we offset that in a way that is profitable to us? Why we control the variables that we can control. The number of emails that we have and the number of emails that we send, the copy that we write, the relationship that we build with those people, our understanding of the epistemological, the axiological, the understanding of logic, how people operate, the demographical breakdowns, the cultural differences. We use all of that as our tools of what we can control variably to have the highest probability of acceptability of what we're doing here. From all of that, the next call is just on this, getting people to take action. And from all of that, we can directly answer your question as how many do we need to find to kind of go with and determine and do those kind of grab? Well, if you're doing this right, you're only contacting people that love their dog, that they've got a 400-pound collar, they go to the vet every 2 weeks or every month, and vets are pretty damn expensive, especially in like metropolitan areas. Pristine teeth, best of the best treats, steak every night, chicken every other night. A lot of expendable money has been spent on them. Now, if you can ethically tell that person that you found their email on a chat form or a contact form and you just wanted to share, like, you know, from the chat form, it's talking about specific pros and cons of this particular brand of dog food, and you're able to determine through your body filtering in the scraper with the word good, best, my favorites, and you're able to challenge that person with a logical interruption in their day. I saw that you posted great food about Pedigree Chum, and it did this for, you know, your pets. Could you tell me a little bit more about that and why? While I've had great results with my dog's coat shine with this type of food, right? Now we've gone full circle there. We've used a logical justification of contacting that person. We've used the filters and rules of the scraper. We've used a logical juxtaposition of our offer, the relevancy of inputting that offer and talking to that person about it. It's not going to be disruptive. It's not going to be seen as a blatant, like, cash grab jobbo type thing. They can see that and they're going to read that. And if they've initiated a conversation or engaged in a conversation, it implies that they're willing to talk about this thing. So if you tick all of those boxes, Bruno, and you do it right, statistically, you can only send one. But that's not really the question. It's like, how many emails should I send to statistically meet my revenue goals that is enough to offset the negative connotations of my campaigns or the laws around emails and campaigns and my budgets? That is the mathematical equation that will determine for you right now in your particular unique goals, Bruno, what you do and moving forward with this. So for me, it could be 15,000 emails before I even bother to move to the next stage. That could be like 1,500,000% over what you need. It's totally relative, but the fundamental methodology that everybody uses to determine what's an acceptable amount is, it can be worked out. You can mathematically work that out if you, I guess, think around. And we'll get to it all. You know, there's still a lot of calls ready to go through, and I'm still unpacking a lot of the stuff into you guys. We've still got a lot of additional conversations we need to have around this, but thinking like that, yeah, you should be good. And hopefully what I just said there, I haven't spoiled the stuff coming up, but you're starting to think, oh God, okay. So it's when he said about ethically contacting people, and when he just described, I saw your email on pedigree.com talking about Yorkshire Chum and the pros and how it, like you said, it broke your dog's tooth, and you're contacting that person with that point, talking about this and that makes total sense. Like, why would that yeah, of course they could still mark it as spam. They could mute you. They could like, you got to ask yourself, what's the difference between that logical conversational output and the ethical quandary of, is it ethical or is it not, or the spectrum of being ethical, that scenario, and comparatively to just sending that guy a link to Yorkshire dog hair loss or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't make sense. And then so you start thinking about campaigns. I'm going to encourage that person's output by talking about this. And then when they reply the next day, my next day of this sequence is running let's see if I can find it. A search function on my ESP of everybody that replied to that email. And then I'm going to put them in an SMTP and then run automation campaigns to them. There's your data vetting campaign right there, or one of the billion possible combinations of how you can indirectly, logically vet an email. And then move them into the marketing, the activation sequence, building that relationship, talking about them, all in a dynamically modified conversation. Like, you're writing, like, bracket, first name, close bracket. That's fantastic. That's amazing. Offer 1, close brackets. I heard from Jenny and Sarah on the same form that they had great offers with this. I haven't purchased it yet, but I'm looking to. In fact, I'll buy it right after sending this email to you, and I'll let you know in a couple of days how little Jim got on with it. Close email. Wait 2 days. Hey, Sarah, just reaching back out to you, or open first name. Are you starting to see how you can creatively use all of, now I'm talking pretty advanced now. I'm talking about applying all the methodologies and the frameworks and all the things I've been speaking about up to this point, and I still need to talk about more. But when you're starting to dig in and digest what I just spoke about right there, you're going to be able to very quickly see why I said that, how I got that information, how I was able to figure out what they were talking about automatically, how I was able to build the data validation campaign in the module, how I was able to then move it into an activation campaign, and then moves into a monetization campaign, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So to answer your question, how many emails should I send before being comfortable? Math. It's not a 17, 70, 100 answer. It's if you can determine your goal and quantitatively work backwards based upon the actions of each thing related to you. Right now, you don't have a framework or a threshold number because you haven't sent a campaign before, you haven't mailed people before, you haven't engaged and seen the feasibility of a single, might be a good, I don't want to say the feasibility of a single campaign send or a market or an offer framework push out, but the best that I can do, like we do have a supporting document that does break this stuff down. It's kind of like it's not an engagement tracker, but it's like a goal tracker, like a goal calculator with email. You can punch in stuff like your offer, the price of your offer, and that would determine a realistic conversion value based on very simple principles. Higher the price, lower the conversion, vice versa. You input a variable based upon brand association and brand quality and the quality of that funnel. Obviously, higher the quality. You could, in theory, like I'm biasing myself again here. So when your first question, you could say, okay, it's a pretty nice funnel, does the job. It's been there for a while, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to give that a 6 out of 10 for like funnel quality. And then you could work out, okay, so what's my angle? What's the one I'm going to score that as? And you can just quantitate all of this qualitative information, punch it in, and then that will tell you statistically, Jordan, you need to send 700 emails to get to your goal. Does that mean I send 700 emails in the next hour, or do I break those 700 emails over a period of time that's respective within my like goal acquisition? Totally up to you. But yeah, I've got to kind of be careful now because I'm kind of going on lots and lots of side runs for this kind of crap. But yeah, it's that simple, guys. It's honestly, it's as simple as you make it, and it's as hard as you make it. But I'll never say this shit is easy, and I'll never say it's hard either. Nothing is hard with enough time and practice and input. You will get what you put out, and yeah, so there's a crazy world. There's a lot of potential. You can make a shit ton from all of this, and you'll soon see for yourself that how much energy and work it took to kind of think up like that idea and that angle came to me because I've been doing this for quite some time now. But you may think to yourself, fuck me, like that's an amazing in. Like, yeah, of course, that's a logical input that makes sense for that person to respond to and engage with. Not me talking about 15% off of a subject line. And it's like, of course, immediately, it's not aligned to that demographic and that cultural perception of all that other crap. It doesn't make sense. But is the energy input opportunity cost of you doing that for 3 hours a day and that learning period to do that, is that worth? Because it's proportional as well. Like, is how much money you want to make, get better at doing that, or think up more. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of resources that is arguably worth it or not worth it, depending upon your situation. But for me, fuck that. Don't need the money. Don't need the headache. Got my houses. Got my shit. Got my Sam that's managing my money pretty good, or so he says. He could be embezzling it for all I know. But other than that, it's doing the job. Do I want to do that every day? God, no. Fuck it off. Like, do I want to like do all of that work and then a legislation thing come out to say every email that you've sent has to have a thing on it or whatever the hell? Like, I can't do that. Maybe I've got systems in place that can't just shut down straight away. I've got 3 months, 6 months, 12-year campaigns in the works. I've already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars on cross-promotional and cross-medium campaigns that all work and trigger certain things. Now, if I've already put that money forward, I've got to have at least enough confidence that the next 6 months, 12 months, 3 months, 6 weeks, or whatever is going to be an open window to do this in. That's what me and Simon were discussing earlier on in the call. Like, it was kind of all over the place, trying to grasp why somebody would turn that stuff off. It's whatever. It's all over the place, but just think on those terms. I did turn into a pretty big rant, Bruno, so I hope you're still there. I hope you haven't like gone to sleep with it all. But
no, I got it. That was pretty insightful. Cheers for that.
Sure, man. Happy to keep you awake, so to speak.
If no one, like, I have, just based on what you just said, just one more question. You just said, like, for example, sending out an email saying, "Oh, I saw you commented that this didn't work for your dog," and stuff. How that seems like a very personalized type of email, but if you're scraping thousands of emails, surely everyone would be, there would be different circumstances. I'm guessing that's something you're going to get to later, but I'm curious as to how you'd write something so personal and at the same time send it to so many people.
Well, look at how I email you guys. It's whatever, right? You guys still open and engaged with it, yet it was still personal. That's just what it is. Like, we can go as advanced and as detailed into dynamic creative writing as we so want. But again, you got to look at the opportunity cost. You got to look at what data points you have available to you. You got to look at what systems that you have that's going to be able to keep track of all of that crap. But again, don't just assume that you can't creatively write around the subject of a content piece on a blog and then not infer the context of the comment, or if not, add additional filtering parameters around the scrape, for instance, and then you can infer and deduce from that initial scrape the content of the blog, the content of that page, the filtering parameters that you set on that scrape, what they're talking about. You don't need to specifically say the brand name that they mentioned in their comment. No, you can just artificially talk around openly in such a way as that it's just a random person with their dog talking about the thing that I commented on. Like, you could just think of it as a sense of yourself. You commented on a video on YouTube about something, and you just received an email. It's like a self-help video. It's like a weight loss. It's like a quit smoking. It's just like, it's just whatever. And you're able to build stories and craft them. Oh, we'll get to all of that in core 4. But that's just, what I would like you to take away from that primarily is the methodology and the thinking around that situation with the tools that we have presented to you at this current point. That's what I'm trying to like take away from you. And that's why I was a bit over the place when I was just like, I don't want to give you guys a cookie cutter fucking thing, just like do this and do that, because you're going to be doing yourself a massive disservice. You're going to be earning a fraction of what you could possibly be earning by not being understanding the world of this profession, this way of thinking, a true marketer's perspective on how people's minds work and the actions and the variables that go into that trail of thinking. It's not that difficult once you get a couple of campaigns and markets and a bit of money in your account that validates this methodology. And then from that, you've got a tool for life. You know, not only in your own mind, which can be multiplicative to whatever else that you go into, but this. And then you have to ask yourself as a person, how big do I want to take this? How much money do I actually need? Because I'm guaranteeing you right now that there's a number that you could earn in your bank account that's going to negatively affect the amount of motivation and energy you're willing to input within this series of activities. Is it 10 grand? Is it 15 grand? Is it 150 grand? Is it 250 grand? There is a number. I absolutely fucking guarantee it. There is a number. Oh, Jordan, I'll just outsource it to some pleb. Oh, I'll just build a system around it. I'll just like do whatever. Okay. Doesn't change the fact about you having that number of removing this effort. Now, what did I say about in CAN-SPAM law and other bits of legislation about leveraging it to a third party, either paid or unpaid, that doesn't free you from your legal obligations? And are you going to trust some $15 per hour pleb on a $50K fine per email, sending 300 emails a week? Yeah. Case in point. You know, I'm kind of dancing around the whole areas like that, but it's that wasn't a risk I was like prepared to take. It's fucking terrifying to me. Didn't want to do it. No, thank you. Like, I'll just take that off a mill and just move on, do something else with it. There's plenty of shit you could do with it. But that's just me. That's just me on that regard.
I have a question about the, I guess, the affiliate side of it. So once you get all these emails or you scrape them, right, and then you go, I guess, you know, most of the email campaigns you have to submit to your affiliate manager, you know, to run them. What do you tell them when you have all these emails? Like, where do you know, they're going to want to know where you got them from or how you got them. What do you usually say?
Again, you're looking for the step-by-step script of what to say to these people. What did I talk about of what they're looking for and what they're not looking for? What did I say about the level of ethics that you want to apply here? What did I infer by the amount of proxies and tunnels and VPNs that exist here? It's totally up to you, however you want to justify. How the hell are they supposed to know whether or not that you've got a network of blogs within particular niches and you're just leveraging the list of inputs that have come from that? How, like, are they, oh, you have to share the locations of all of that? Sure, share a bunch of blogs. There you go, done and dusted. Like, how deep do you want to go? Do you want to know how much effort that they've put into fucking me when it comes to this type of crap? As long as you're operating legally within the terms of service and everybody's making money, I'm telling you right now, it's most people, especially as affiliate managers who are directly earning money from you, don't give a fucking monkey. As long as, like I said, as a third party, they are still technically liable because they are profiting at some point during the life cycle. the food chain of this email being sent out or being received or being purchased or sent to an offer or a product, more and more parties are becoming liable within all of this particular facts. But as long as you've ticked the boxes, follow the definitions of what spam is, CAN spam is, GDPR is, and so on, there you go. Done and dusted. If they want to see an email campaign, show them an email campaign. If they want to be a part of an email campaign, put them in a part of an email campaign. Like, where's the problem here? Oh, there is no, summarize, there is no one size fits all for everybody. But if you need to send somebody an offer and a series of emails to go to something, send them that. That makes them feel better. Sure, go for it. Totally up to you. Like, again, you're asking questions that are directly connected to your level of comfort, level of exposure, scope of what you're going to be doing. If you're not comfortable, like I said at the very beginning, maybe this isn't for you. Even though, in accordance to the, get an attorney to look it over. Go for it that way. But there's nothing, from my opinion, that, you know, it could have clearly changed by now. I'm not saying by whoever's watching the recording of this is like, do this and take my word for it. Fuck no, do your own independent research. Took it all out. There's no way in hell I'd be talking about a subject that would open me up for liability.
Well, it's not that I'm not comfortable or like I can see why, you know, the emails are valid or, you know, why it's legal. It's just more like, I mean, I've never done email campaigns, so I know with other campaigns that I've done, like Facebook ads and whatnot, they just want to see like everything, you know, they want to see your fan page, they want to see your opt-in page and all that crap, right? So is that campaigns, or they want to know how you got them opted in, how you got this, how you got them to give you your email or got that email? You know, that's more like, I guess, kind of what I'm asking, if that makes sense.
Again, when I was talking to Bruno about biases and the scopes of questions and the scopes of answers and what they're looking for to point out, let me put it this way, they're looking for more red flags than any kind of performance indicator that will determine the success or failure of a campaign. They are looking for red flags to shut you down and be like, oh, he said a no. That means he can't do it. That means he can't join the network, blah, blah. It's just like, they don't care. They don't, how can I put it? I'll have another call with everybody at some point, and just to kind of help to break down this spectrum of, I don't want to say reality and then own internal biases, but it is a big factor of it all. And another big factor of it all is what people actually see, what they want, what they don't want, and then what you perceive what they want, what you think they want, and what they don't want. If somebody wants to give you 15 grand to make a website, do you say you're going to be using a $30 WordPress template? Of course you're not. Are you going to interrupt them and stop them from digging their own hole? Of course you're not. It's fucking capitalism. It's how it works. The only thing you have to be careful about here when you're doing this is that when you sign up to a network, you're going to be bound by that network's terms of service, that terms of use. Now, if you are directly against that terms of use and that terms of service, then you are liable to the extent of that terms of conditions and that terms of service. In the eyes of the law, you are totally fine. But in the eyes of the terms of service, that's up to debate. That's up to whatever they say and so want and do. But if they're asking, send me a landing page, send me your 5 email string, let me be included with that email campaign, why can't you just do that? I'm not saying yes or no, but what I am saying, if that person's looking for something that's got the color yellow in it, why can't I just send them something with the color yellow in it? I'm being legalese here when I'm talking about this. If they want to be able to see what you're going to be doing to a degree, tell them to go fuck themselves. I'm serious. They're just other people in their own right. You say, listen, Tom, Harry, Larry, Ryan, whatever the fuck their name is, I've given you the campaign structure, the series of emails, the source of these emails, the objective of these emails. I've even included you in the campaign. I'm even going to pay money so my ads get shown to you when they should have been spent to these other people. What more do you want me to do, Ryan? What more do you want my organization to do? You're assuming that they're going to be challenging you on every inch and every mile and every ounce of it all. They just need to make sure you're not going to be fucking fraudulent in their eyes. You're not going to like chargeback fraud them. You're not going to run a fraud ring around this offer. You're not going to have any negative impact upon the brands that have partnered with this network. That's all they care about. Just like how I was talking initially about how to get onto Max Bounty and how this asshole kept like not approving people or even showing up. Yet this other affiliate manager was approving people straight away and actually helping people and being supportive and wanting to work with them. It's that simple. It's as complicated and as simple as you make it. And if you overthink it, you give them out of fear or out of a misplaced allocation of fear, even though you know you're following the law, then yeah. That's maybe, like I said, maybe I should have another call with everybody in relation to affiliate, which won't stop because I barely touched affiliate stuff. It's not I don't want to say it's not a problem because it is up to the rule of that particular network, and different networks have different internal rule structures and different propensities to do certain things. But to get worked up and determine success or failure of a campaign or an idea of a traffic stream based upon some fucking $30 an hour pleb who doesn't care, based upon your success, putting money in their pocket, which is a very, very powerful variable you always need to consider when you're talking to these people. I don't want to say don't worry about it, like I said, but I'm also going to say I'm not going to say it's not a problem. But at the same time, I haven't thought about that being or I haven't had to solve that problem, let's say, in a very, very, very long time. So hopefully that was able to, you'll see for yourself. Let's put it that way. You'll see for yourself and you'll be able to validate and see all of this as and where. And, you know, my words won't mean anything. You'll see the results for yourself.
About the software that is it only those 3 programs that you recommend getting? That's all we need from that guy, or what was it again? The atomic email.
Yeah, Atomic, fucking Tombstone, Pile Driver, 4.0 crap. Again, those are raw fundamentals within the plan the architecture of all of this crap here.
Yeah, but just those 3 that we need. Like you don't.
No, what I want to push and advise to you is, again, the thinking around these. You don't need to use this verifier. I even gave you an example of this thing. It's like an additional option. You don't need to use this atomic mail sender as the bloody mail user agent if you so don't want to. You don't even need to use this particular atomic email hunter as a spider, as a scraper, as you so want. The real value of all of this is coming from understanding how all of this stuff works, interconnects, and then you so choosing what to use under your own right. It's just that
I get that. I understand. I mean, it's about learning, and it's not just get this and do that. It's just more like, well, this is definitely one that you're using, and then So if I have questions, I could ask you. It's more like there's nothing else there that you would recommend that we would be able to use from him.
There's a giant, colossal list of third-party resources, first-party resources. I have systems, all that kind of crap. It's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. But the bare minimums of what I was talking, like, you don't even need this atomic mail sender. You don't even need this atomic email verifier. It was just a convenient, oh, this guy's not only made, in my opinion, a pretty good scraper that does the job. It's not fancy, it's not pretty, it's not sexy to look at, but, does the job. It's also got these two other things right there as well. So why not knock them out? Tried them all, used them all. Relatively simple to use. I haven't really had they're not great. They do have problems. They do have functionality issues. They are not user friendly. They are quite intimidating to get your head around and to knock out. But other than that, yeah, they do the job. But now if you're saying also get the Whois Database Explorer, or also get the bulk email sending system listen, I'm not going to tell you to not read it, to not buy it, to not explore it. Maybe you've got your own plan here written out and you kind of want to apply and add different systems, like Simon was alleviating to, wanting to explore and use a third party to design and build all of this stuff for him. Guarantee they're probably not going to use Atomic Mail Sender or Atomic Email Verify, for instance, unless Simon tells them to use that or whatever. But just don't. It's kind of like how I feel about those kinds of questions. Like you're having a conversation of Warren. Oh, no, I don't want to fucking do that. It makes me sound like even more of a prick. I know what you're saying, and I know what you're thinking in the relation to maybe your allocated budgets, your Jordan,
Okay,
are you sure? Are you sure I don't need anything else now, Jordan? Is this it? Are we good now? But I also understand
it's not the budget or anything. It's like, are there any other tools in his stuff that will help with this? That's really what I'm trying to get at. Is that like
what I would prefer at some point? Definitely look over the catalog of what he has. Talk about it. Let's talk about it in the group. Ask questions about certain things. But in order for me to recommend something, I kind of need to know what it is that you're going to want to do, or the problem you're hoping to solve, or the system you're hoping to speed up, or anything like that. Like, for instance, Jordan, do you recommend this router or this one that's only $30? And then we can talk about the actual specifications of the two things. Or maybe you find a different mail sender unit, user agent. It's right there. And like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's break it all down. I want to encourage and talk like that. And I don't really want to put people on the spot. It was very difficult for me to even talk about these softwares. It's like, use these, because that's my name is on this fucking Russian guy now forever. As this recording now exists in eternity. I said at some point, use this, or you then use that, or whatever the hell. But I would encourage independent research, looking over his platforms, his systems, and then any questions with no fear of like whatever, pop it in the group. Let's have a chat. Let's break it down. Let's discuss it. And then you can, like I said to, God, I can't remember who asked this question now, about how I learn and how I go to study a new subject. And then we can start talking about using those methodologies on learning on a subject and start breaking down pros and cons of different other things. And then you can go away and build your own crazy system and all that kind of crap. But in the context of his software right now that exists, it's right there. Now, when I say this, don't just fucking go and buy it. I'm just saying this hypothetically. You can't even buy it anymore. That's why I'm only saying this one. The only one that's actually there. Let's find it. Where is it? Is this the domain list database thing that we spoke about? That one. That is another program. Domain list database, whatever the hell, Atomic. It's there. But this is over 10 years old. What good is a website that's from over 10 years? Like, look at this one. Gaydargun.com. Like, just actually reading it and going through it. It's it kind of speaks for itself, and we all know how important the whole power and goal here is the relevancy, and time is a massive variable that determines the extent of relevancy when we're doing these keyword searches. This database here is over 80 million domains strong, but it's over 10 years old. What the hell uses that? So, yeah, so amazing, powerful in concept. Like when I was speaking to my guy about offering a service that could do this using his much powerful systems to scrape specifically niche specific websites and then categorically like organize them like this, and you can download and copy and paste them and do a lot of kind of crap. Yeah, hell yeah, that's amazing. Definitely use that. It's phenomenal, fundamentally godlike. Is there anything else I can point out off the top of my head that in the depository of that guy's stuff? I've looked at a couple of other things. The Whois scraper. I've looked at the SMS bulk sender. I've looked at the email verification service that he has. Not worth it. It's not worth it. The Whois scraper is just a remodel of the Atomic Hunter email hunter. It just pulls Whois records, which are most systems now have free Whois protection, so it's totally irrelevant and useless anyway. Email verification is an overpriced, heavily bulky ripoff when we can just leverage and use the systems that we've just, right here that we're building for ourselves. Make one Gmail account. One Gmail account can verify, let's assume it's 200 emails an hour. There you go. Right there. Easy peasy. That's that's like 200, that's 5,000 emails in a pretty short period of time through one Gmail account. It's just saved you a god awful amount of money, like per whatever. So that's pretty whatever. The SMS bulk sender, sounds cool. Sounds pretty interesting. Doesn't really connect to anything though. That's kind of a ball ache. Oh, gotta add some all this other kind of crap to it as well. It's like, gotta do all that. It's like, but it's pretty cheap. But there are cheaper services out there. Again, what am I using it for? What's it gonna do? Is it gonna get me there faster? I'm gonna save money. Am I gonna make more money with this? Is it just a fancy shiny thing? I don't know. It's whatever. And I can't think of anything else that he has off the top of my head that's in the context of it, in the most basic system that this is. So to break down, man. So yeah, just those three things primarily. You don't even need one of them. So
cool.
All right, guys, I'm pretty sure probably going to have to wrap up now because it's going on to like nearly 3.5 hours now. Moving on to 4. This one was only supposed to be an hour long. So we got kind of carried away in the Q&A stuff. So I'm going to wrap it up here now. Have a great weekend. The only thing that I would suggest as well is to not go insane with this. Remember what I said about how the hunter uses your ISP? Don't go out there and start spamming shit, because every single scrape is a data packet from your computer, from your ISP. You can't do that. Not at the scope of what this software is going to do. Don't go crazy. Don't go think, oh, I'll use my girlfriend's internet. Fuck it. It's whatever, right? No. You don't want to have that argument. Trust me. It doesn't work like that. But by all means, explore with it, play with it. Get a VPN, have fun with it, play around with some of the methodology we've discussed here today. I'll get this video rendered up, uploaded to the content portal. Any questions, post in the group. That's what the group's there for. We'll continue long-form conversation over in the group. Other than that, man, great, quick questions, relatively simple call in its delivery. I'm shitting it for the other calls because there's really big ones. But once they're done, you're going to be fucking assassins. You should be pretty good at all of this moving forward after the fact. So great call, guys. Anybody want to say anything before we go? Sam, you want to say anything?
Just on the content portal, I think I'd say 90% of people are in there now. But there's obviously a few that are not. Just make sure you kind of have received the email I sent last night, or you've got the legal document. If not, reach out to me in the group, give me your email address, I'll send that over, get you in there. Obviously kind of make sure you can use it. And yeah, let's close that chapter of my life. Stop my inbox getting raped.
That it? Real good then? Nobody want to? I'll just leave it at that then. My voice is being pretty fresh right now. I need to go get a beer and, I don't know, have a nice bubble bath of some kind, wash this away. But yeah, guys, I'll see you all in the Facebook group. Contribute, say some crap. Otherwise, you're missing out on the real value of what this group is. Overall, ta-ta, guys. Hope it's all good. And I'll see you all in the next call Monday morning, bright and early. I'm going to end it all now, guys. So I'll kick you all out in just a moment. So see you all in the group, guys. Have a good one.